What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers' 10-game home winning streak is over. They lose in miserable fashion tonight to the San Antonio Spurs. 114-83 is your final score. This was a game that saw the Blazers down 27 at one point. They clawed their way back to 12, looked like they might be able to make a run and make a miraculous comeback, and then it ended with a thud. The Spurs stretched things back out to 29. That's the final margin of victory. This is a game that the Blazers play without Damian Lillard, Nasir Little, and they needed Damian Lillard tonight. Offensively, they were not able to get anything going, and effort-wise, it was questionable. Me and Eric are going to call that out and talk about that tonight. Eric, I don't even know. Normally, I like to ask you a question at this point. But I don't know, man. This was just a pathetic effort all around from this team, I think.
If I was a Blazer tonight, I'd be embarrassed on that one. I just don't get the lack of effort, man. The sleepwalking through games. We win a game and then all of a sudden, next game out, instead of building upon the successes of the last game, moving the ball, having nice sets, playing decent defense. We just revert right back to thinking we have arrived again and are going to go on a big winning streak, and it just doesn't happen for us. We just do none of the little things to win ball games. Our attention to detail on defense, and I'm going to bring this up. I can't wait to get to Brant's breakdown tonight because some of the effort on closeouts and stuff is just, I would bench some of these guys for 5 straight games for some of the things they did tonight. And it was just really sad. And unfortunately, they can't bench anyone for 5 games because several guys are injured now, and then Ant goes down too. So it's hard to hold people accountable when you don't have enough of a roster. But screw it at this point. What would be the harm of throwing in a Blevins or if people aren't doing their job, if people are just gonna fall asleep and not do anything, it's just something needs to happen to kickstart this team. We're probably going to talk about some trades later this evening because if that's what it's going to take to get someone going or to get these people out of their funk. You and I have never been opposed to a trade. We just want to make the right trade and a good trade. I think at this point, I'm not for just doing a trade to make a trade, but I think making a move, particularly at power forward, might be something that could kickstart this team. Unless obviously, if you do a bigger trade, that would work too. But if you're just going to do a small trade, maybe Rocco for a similar type player, just to try and get something going there. I don't know.
This is where I'm at, man. Everybody wants to argue the roster, right? And we've heard that all season long, all off season long. And I might end up in the situation where I'm also saying it's the roster, but I'm not agreeing with those people because I think the biggest problem is the mentality of this team. Mm-hmm. The mentality of this team. And that's what's frustrating because that's something that's fixable, right? And we talk about fixable mistakes versus, the roster not being capable of doing certain things right. And I feel like there's a lot of fixable mistakes that this team makes consistently that can be fixed. And that's why I wanted Chauncey Billups. That's why I was excited for him to be brought in here. And we've had this discussion numerous times, and I'm just trending towards this conclusion. Some players have to have some freaking pride. Because the effort tonight was horrible for about 2.5 quarters. And then, out of freaking nowhere, it's like the team's like, okay, we're down 27. Oh my goodness. We could lose at home to the Spurs. Let's ratchet things up and get 10 stops in a row and cut the lead to 12. And it's so frustrating because I watched this team go on that run, and it's like, if they just play with a sense of urgency, we win this game. We win this game. When they imposed their will, played with some effort, played with a sense of urgency. Even though they didn't really have it going offensively, they still were able to make a bit of a run, right? It's just, I don't know why they can't do it consistently, and I don't know why it's so easy for them to fall into these lulls where they are completely lackadaisical. And to me, maybe we have guys on this roster that don't have enough pride and don't care enough. I don't know. We talked about that as a fan base this past offseason. There was talk about, a couple guys that weren't fully bought in. And it's hard to tell who, because it's like different guys on a different night, and it's certain guys that'll just be super lazy, and then they'll flip a switch and start playing good defense. I mean, CJ had a lot of lazy moments tonight, but how many blocks did he have? He had what, four blocks? Like, you know what I mean? There was some great defensive plays from CJ, and then there were some plays where it's like he wasn't even trying at all, and I don't understand, because this isn't a team that should be fatigued. They've only played 2 games the last, 6 days before this. They had a day off yesterday. They're playing in Portland. So I'm just at a loss for words, man, because the argument that most disagrees with us is this roster is incapable of doing what they need to do defensively to be anything but a horrible defense. And it's like, to me, I see when they give effort, they're a solid defense. And then when they're not fully bought in and they're not fully focused, they're a horrible defense. And it's been a situation where at home, they've been able to lock in, and they've been able to play with energy, and therefore they've been a good home defense. I think coming into tonight, they were, the 8th best defense at home? Meanwhile, on the road, they're the 30th best defense, a.k.a. the worst defense on the road. So it's just a situation where it's like, it comes down to effort, it comes down to energy, it comes down to focus. And it's so frustrating that is the reason for most of our issues, in my opinion. I don't understand. This team is in a mental funk. I think they need somebody like a Draymond Green type of attitude. Now, we can't trade for Draymond. Golden State's having a great season, but we need an asshole, man. We need a guy who will set the tone defensively, hold their teammates accountable, and be a leader. Because right now, we don't have that. Dame's a great leader, but he's not a defensive leader. And defensively, our lack of focus, our lack of energy is just absolutely ridiculous. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to your breakdowns. I don't know, man. I'm so frustrated that that's what we're talking about here, and I don't know why that's the reason.
Yeah. So, I don't get the comments when people say, our starting lineup is obviously, just look at tonight, our starting lineup, it'll never work. It's been tried before. We didn't have our normal starting lineup tonight. That's like, try it criticizing or coming up with an analysis that happened from the game. It's just frustrating.
It's all the same people that are like, our wins aren't that good. We beat this team when they were missing somebody. But then when we're missing our best player in Damian Lillard, there's no consideration for that.
Or when we're on a back-to-back, there's no excuse for that. But when Phoenix is on a back-to-back and we beat them by 30, they were on a back-to-back, so no wonder they lost,
Yeah. And by the way, that wasn't Valley Pod chat. Valley Pod's cool. They would never do something like that. So no, that's not Valley Pod. Don't unfollow them or anything. That's just a troll. People make fake burner accounts. It's annoying. Shout out Cal Wilson, $5 dono. He says, it's my fault. He's never seen Dame play in person. I bought him tickets to tonight's and Saturday's game, so all the injuries are my bad. I don't know who he is, but I mean, it's not your fault, Kyle.
Who's Cheese?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I missed a comment before that, but I appreciate the $5 dono. Maybe
What's
Kyle
up,
had
Kyle?
a drink at the game. I don't know what he's talking about, but nah, it's none of your guys' fault. And honestly, you guys deserve better, man. The Blazers fans, for the most part, deserve better. A lot of people in this chat, in my opinion, care more about how this team played tonight than a number of the players on the roster. Because I feel like if a number of people in this chat were on the roster and in the rotation, and this team was playing like this, you would see them visibly frustrated, holding teammates accountable, mad, right? That's the thing, is like, at what point do the players care? And at what point does it get bad enough where they get freaking mad? Because I see them playing lackadaisical basketball, no energy, no effort, and it seems like it doesn't even matter to them. And it matters 10 times more to Blazer fans.
And, I mean, we kind of had to have that energy without Dame. Like, we need to play with, like, everyone needs to step up and create that energy and manufacture some points and hustle plays, and we need to have some more set plays, some structured offense. I barely saw any of that tonight. It was just, yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, as of right now, the coaching staff is failing to get this team to play the way they want them to play, and I'm hoping that can change. I'm still on the side of this is the right staff to do it, but they have not figured out how that works yet. They have not gotten it to translate how they want this team to play on the floor, and I don't understand why they just continue to let it happen. And before you say something, I mentioned this last game. I'm freaking so sick of that. Oh, we just came out with a lack of urgency tonight. I don't know. The other team just wanted it more from the jump. We just got to come out and punch them in the mouth next time. Like,
that's become we just missed shots.
That's so stupid. Yeah. Well, I mean, Stotts said that all last year too. Yeah. It's not like it's exclusive to Billups. And Dame was saying that all last year. It's like, at some point, it's like, no, the problem is your guys' lack of effort. I'm sick of, like, why you're in the NBA? Why do other teams want it more than you? And it's frustrating as heck, because we lost a winnable game tonight, even without Dame, because no one freaking showed up to this one.
And I would love for somebody to come out and say, we always talk about how we don't come out with enough urgency, but we're not fixing this. This is inexcusable. We need to be better. We need to do whatever it takes to fix this problem, because we talk about doing things differently, but it's not happening. I would love for somebody to just step up and take accountability for this crap, but it's just kind of that sort of thing. And here's the thing with Billups and Stotts, all right? I feel like Stotts last year wasn't trying to get the team to do the right things, right? Billups, I think, is trying to get the team to do the right things, but they're failing in getting them to do it consistently. When they are doing the right things, this team looks really good to me. But it comes down to, like, I don't know if he doesn't... I mean, there is a small chance in my mind that he maybe doesn't fully have the locker room as a new coach. Maybe is still kind of learning in that regard. That's possible. But I can't help but question how bought in some guys are into doing the hard things, doing the little things to win basketball games. Because when you come out and show an effort like that, it's like, okay, if these guys aren't really going to bust their butt and they're going to come out and play this lazy with this lack of energy, are they really committed to, I don't know, playing aggressively, pressuring the ball handler off a pick when we're playing aggressive on a pick and roll, rotating quickly, like all the little things, the hard things that aren't pretty, aren't fun to do, but you got to do to be a winning basketball team? I mean, if they won't come out and just give a baseline solid amount of energy, then, I mean, what can Chauncey do other than just bench guys, which at this point, he needs to start benching guys more and getting on guys more. But
especially like tonight.
But I have to wonder if it's a situation where maybe he feels like he doesn't 100% have the locker room, so he doesn't want to alienate guys more by benching them, but they're not committed to doing the right things. And at that point, like, we're screwed. And the reason for that is because we don't have guys that care enough about winning, if that's the case. That's just speculation, okay? But I have to sit here and question, like, you bring Draymond in? Draymond's doing all the little things. Draymond's busting his butt. Draymond's holding his teammates accountable. Draymond is probably listening to Chauncey Billups, right?
He's doing a ass chewing to anyone who misses a rotation or makes him look bad on defense, you know?
Because he's a competitor. He's a competitor, man. And I feel like we don't, like, too often I'm watching this team, it's like we don't have anybody that's competing. And it's frustrating.
And yeah, like you said, the frustrating part to me is there's people who they'll do it at times, you know, And CJ, it's usually like, oh, when he scores a basket, then he's all of a sudden more engaged on the other end or whatever. But, he starts off this game 3 for 10 and, gives up a bunch of shots on the other end too. It's like stuff like that. It's just driving me crazy. And then like all these people try to tell us that we've been wrong about the roster when they're not playing up to their capabilities, and that's the most frustrating part. And they might not ever, and we'll just admit that we were wrong and that this roster wasn't capable.
Well, I mean, what we'll be wrong on, in my opinion, Eric, is thinking that the players cared more than they do.
Yeah,
because I thought this team was going to come in, try and do all the little things, really caring, really trying to take that next step, really committing to it, coming out with consistent energy, and they're not. They're obviously not. So, and I tweeted that out today. Like, I might be wrong, because at the start of the season, I thought they'd care more than they seemingly do right now. And I thought they would take more pride in becoming a legitimate team. I might have been wrong on that. And at that point, then yeah, you got to definitely talk trades, and you got to replace whatever the biggest violators of that are. And the thing is, it's hard to tell because it's like everybody at spurts, but then other times people will step up. But we'll talk trades tonight, a little later in the stream. I know you guys are probably, like, shout out to those who tune in for losses like this, Eric. Because, I mean, I know you guys like to hear us rant and stuff, but...
No, they just like to hate on us, too, so...
I mean, that's
some of that.
But there's a lot of people that rock with us that are in here, you know what I mean? And it's like... Yep. I wouldn't blame people if they're like, I don't want to watch a post-game show. I'm done with this team. I don't even want to think about them. Okay? Because, like, there's times where I'm about to go live and I'm like, man, this sucks, right? These losses suck. The state of this team right now, it's not as fun as it should be. And it's simply because the energy, the effort, the commitment to doing the right things isn't there, which pisses me off. But shout out to you guys for tuning in with us. I'll talk trades because that's probably the funnest thing we can do at some point on this stream. Okay, so we'll do that later. I know you, like, I think it's about time to talk scheme things, Eric. It's just, even if they do the right things, it's like, if you're not giving effort and if you're not giving energy and if you're not committed to playing the right way, like, you can scheme up the right things, you're still not going to work. You have to be committed to it.
2 very good examples of that, and then 1 scheme-related thing that doomed a possession. So I have it all covered in Brant's breakdown, so when we get to that, let's get caught up on the donations, though.
Yeah, Mills Woj was the next one?
Yep.
Yeah, $10 dono. Appreciate you, Mills Woj. He says, I wasn't overly concerned until tonight. I was actually pretty optimistic, but something needs to change now. I'm not saying roster, but this could get out of hand quickly. We could lose 5 or 6 in a row. I mean... Yeah, it's tough without Dame. This team is not super talented without Dame, and now Anthony Simons left in a walking boot. So the injury bug is biting the Blazers, unfortunately. And it's last year it was CJ and Nurkic. Right now it's Dame and Simons, and yeah, it's not good. It's not good right now. Appreciate your dono, Mills. Well, shout out Rip City 208 with a $5 dono. They say I am as much of a Billups fan as you guys are, but not looking good, having several games now of players just quitting on him. Go Blazers. I don't think it's necessarily a situation where players are quitting on Billups per se. I just think it's a situation where players maybe don't care enough. I mean, like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I can't explain it. So I don't know if it's necessarily a Billups problem, though.
And well, I don't know if everyone saw this, but after the game, Quick reported that he asked Jody Allen as she walked by with security what was going on with the investigation, and she said she didn't have a comment right now and just kept walking. But normally in this situation, so if Billups recognizes that he has guys that just are not performing to his standards, he'd go to the GM and say, hey, look, I know you wanted to see if this would work, but I cannot win with player X. I need someone who is more like player Y or whatever. And if you can pull a deal for this, like I'd just rather get someone else in here right now. And there might be, I mean, I don't know if that's going on right now with like an assistant GM or if Neil Olshey's still like in that position to make those calls. I mean, he was the one who announced the injuries, I guess. But yeah, so who knows what the heck's going on with this front office, and that's part of the problem as well. But like, part of it might also be like, if you have someone like, let's say he's already gone. Like, I'm not saying it's Rocco, but like, it's like the most logical player right now, you know. Let's just say he's gone to the front office and been like, I just want to try something different at power forward. If you have an opportunity to make a move, bring in someone with a little more energy or athleticism or whatever he wanted. It might be a situation where then the GM or whoever's making the calls right now tells him, well, don't just flat out bench him because that'll ruin my opportunity to trade him possibly. If you just like give up on him and don't play him at all, then people are gonna like not give up as much for him or whatever. And so it might be a case where some of these guys, it's not necessarily that they're not holding them accountable, it's that they're trying to desperately hold on to any kind of trade value while the whole front office is kind of being worked out. And I don't even know if we're allowed to make trades right now or what's going on. But yeah, it might be a situation where they're trying, they just don't have anyone to make that final move right now.
It's such a mess, dude.
Yeah.
It's such a mess. And the thing is, like, this needs to get resolved soon. Mm-hmm. Okay? I don't know what the holdup is, but this needs to get resolved. I don't know about these sorts of things, but it seems like it shouldn't drag out this long with Olshey. Okay? And, I mean, I pretty much want him gone at this point, but just figure it out. Please. Like, sure, if you keep him, there's going to be an uproar, but you got to figure it out at some point. Because right now, it's not a situation where the season is doomed by any means, all right? I don't want people to think I'm saying that. But there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of possible issues. And when you're coming out with lackadaisical energy in half your games, with just a level of energy that's not acceptable and it's not getting better, there needs to be something that changes. And maybe that can change without a move, but the longer it goes on, the more it becomes obvious. Like, okay, yeah, you got to do something and you got to eliminate the problems. The guys that don't come out every night and compete. Like, there's certain guys on this team that Nasir Little, completely fine with him. Larry Nance Jr., completely fine with him. Believe it or not, Nurkic, for the most part, completely fine with him. Everybody else has questionable moments. Dame, I'm fine with him. I think the ab injury might have had something to play with maybe him, I don't know, not being 100%, and obviously he's phenomenal offensively. Like Dame, I'm completely fine with him. Everybody else on this roster is questionable effort-wise. Everybody else that plays. And some guys more so than others, but at some point, you got to figure it out, and you got to fix it. And I don't know what that is, but you need somebody. You need a GM. If it's something where you have to make a move, you need a GM that's planning that move and trying to figure out how they can fix it from a transaction standpoint. And we don't have that, so we got to figure out this whole freaking Olshey situation.
Well, before I get to my point to that, Daniel G's $5 donation kind of ties in with it. So he says, This team just didn't care. You could see it on the court. We should be like the Suns and put our foot down and play hard. I don't know what to think now. And I like that he brought up the Suns because last year was not Monty Williams' first year. And in fact, he got them playing hard, but it was not perfect right away. They struggled mightily until basically the bubble, where they won all 8 games and then carried that momentum on to next year, got off to a bit of a slow start with Chris Paul, and then turned it on from there. But it's not like Monty just came in last year and completely transformed the team. He was there a whole season before last year. Actually, was that his third year? I don't know if it was his second year or his third year, but he kind of struggled at the very beginning as well. But, like, this is the problem to me. Billups comes in, says we have to scrap. We have to play aggressive. We have to play with energy and effort. We have to do all the little things, right? And then we're losing games because we're not scrapping. We have no fight in us. We have no aggression. There's no sense of urgency. Like, other teams are outworking us, all that kind of stuff. So I just don't understand what the point of having a coach stress those things if they're not going to translate onto the floor. So something needs to, either the way Chauncey's expectations of the players needs to change, or he needs to change the players' rotations or something, just something different. But like, so far they are not scrapping the way, because if they were giving up open threes because they like over trapped or like they over blitzed the pick and roll, or someone flew out to someone that wasn't their guy to cover for someone else, and it just the next rotation the guy flew out at him, but it was just a second too late or whatever and gave up an open three. But as you'll see in the Brant's breakdowns, it's just flat out guys aren't even trying anymore, and I just don't get it.
Yeah, and we'll get to those in a couple of minutes. I just, here's the thing. It's tough for a first-year head coach to come in and fix things if players aren't committed to doing the right things, right? I feel like Steve Kerr, because he came in and took a team that was a first-round exit and turned them into a dynasty, right? Obviously, they had some talent, but they were a first-round exit the year before with the same core. And Steve Kerr comes in, they're phenomenal. I think if you brought in Steve Kerr, if he had never coached before, and you brought him in as a first-time coach for this team, I'm not sure it'd be any better. Because you got players that maybe aren't committed enough, and then a situation where it's like, Kerr's like, do I gotta bench these guys? Like, do I risk alienating some guys 20 games into my coaching career? Like, that's tough, man. But like, you look at him, he had Draymond Green, Steph Curry's serious, Klay Thompson's serious about winning. They got guys that want to win, will do the little things, will commit, right? You look at Nick Nurse with the Raptors, and they win a championship in his first season. Who does he have? He has Kawhi Leonard, who's just no nonsense, quiet, goes about his business. Kyle Lowry, who's the same way, right? They got guys that commit. You bring them in with this roster, man. Either of those guys who are now top coaches in the league, I don't know if they do any better. So it's a tough situation for Chauncey to be in my opinion.
Yeah.
So shout out to. Or do you want to say anything on that?
No, I agree there. It's tough. I feel like. I still feel like. I don't know. Maybe during the course of the game he's not seeing it, and then going to the next game he's like, "Well, you got to be better this game," and then I don't know. It's possible that he just doesn't notice some of these things within the game. Maybe he's a little overwhelmed with trying to follow the defense and the offense and rotations and all this stuff. So maybe he's just like within the course of a game. Maybe that's why people aren't getting benched. But I just like to see him want this team to like. I don't understand. Like, we should be coming out like just doing something, and then we go to this like lazy zone and it gets destroyed in this game. Like it's like the opposite of what we should be doing. Like we should have been like trapping or doing something like trying to get the ball out of people's hands. And
it's a situation where it's like, hey, you guys don't want to run around on defense? Fine, just guard this little section of court.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
I just don't get it. Like if we're gonna scrap, like seriously, that means fighting through picks. And then when we have games like Utah where the whole second half we don't even try to fight through a single pick, it's just I don't understand that mindset. Like it should be like, no, you get your freaking butt through that screen next time. Don't get caught up. Instead of like, oh, you know what? We're getting caught up in every screen. We might as well just switch and get exposed with our bigs on, Donovan Mitchell or whatever and Joe Ingles and give up a bunch of open shots. It's like, no, like tell them to get their butts through that screen and stop getting picked off so easily. Like there's no excuse for that. Like there's so many examples of average athletes that can get through a screen perfectly. It's not a talent thing. It's just a discipline and IQ thing. And I don't think any of these people lack the IQ to be able to get through a screen properly, and it's driving me crazy.
Yep, I agree. Shout out Mills Bush for a $5 dono. He says, and Ben Simmons will not have that dog in him. Like, people want to act like Ben Simmons fixes everything. Bro, like, our biggest issue right now is effort and energy and commitment. And Ben Simmons, you bring him into that sort of situation. That's not a good situation for Ben Simmons. You bring Ben Simmons into an organization that has a great leader, a Draymond Green. You bring Ben Simmons into Golden State. Okay, I could maybe see that working. You bring him into a team that has a bunch of issues with lackadaisical play, a lack of energy. I don't think that's a good situation. I don't think that fixes things. Mm-hmm. We need a Draymond Green type of personality. We need a dog, man. Ben Simmons is not that.
I mean, at this point, I'm fine with trying it, I mean, you could always reflip him, I guess, but
I'm fine with that, but
yeah.
It doesn't fix everything.
It can't really be worse, but yeah, I still don't think, because as I'll detail too, Ben Simmons could play the best defense of all time, but if someone else sags off their guy and gives up a wide open three just on pure laziness, how is Ben Simmons supposed to guard the guy up top with the ball and both corners when our corner defense is just leaving their guy wide open for no reason at all?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, people say, oh, he's first team all defense. Okay, cool. In Philadelphia, I think this is just my opinion, all right? And it's pure speculation, okay? But I think if you bring Ben Simmons in and you swap him out for CJ, I don't think Ben Simmons defends like a first team all NBA defender. I don't think he does. I feel like Ben Simmons is the type of guy where everybody else is playing lackadaisical around him, and he'll start playing lackadaisical. That's just my opinion. So it's a situation where a bunch of people want to change. And if this continues, I want to change too. But it's like, if you're bleeding, you put a Band-Aid on it. You put something that helps. All right? I don't think Ben Simmons fixes that problem. I don't think he's a Band-Aid. I don't think he's a fix for that. I think if anything, I don't know. His strength is defense, and I don't think he's a first team All NBA defender if he comes here, because we don't play with enough energy. We don't play lackadaisical, and that's 1,000% contagious. If you have 4 teammates on the court that are playing lazy defense, why are you going to bust your ass? You're going to expend all this energy trying to carry the defense just for somebody else to be lazy and they still score anyway? And you think that guy is going to commit to doing that 36 minutes a game?
I mean, I don't know. It's tough to know. I mean, he could surprise us, but I just don't think
there's a bigger issue than Ben Simmons can fix on his own, right? So I know people want to change, but we got to figure out why this is the issue. And it might be as simple as CJ is the biggest offender of this, and just getting him off the team for a similar caliber player is going to help, because that player would be more committed, right? So, I mean, that might be the right trade. I'm not against that trade. I just am against the notion that people think it fixes everything.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm sitting with that. I mean, yeah. Anyway, Donna J. Tor, 100 rupee donation. He says, what are you looking forward to now, excluding the trades? What are your expectations when Dame comes back? Do you think we will just be a 500 team? It's hard to say. I mean, this team could wake up in January and win a bunch of games. I don't know.
This is the crappy part about Dame's injury, because we talked all year about this is the time of the season we were going to go on a big run and get to several games above 500 and kind of put that to rest, that we're a 500 team, right? But now without Dame, if we play like we did tonight, I mean, yeah, we could lose a lot of these games that we should have been set up to win. I don't think 500 is out of the realm of possibility if Dame is out for a long time. But if Dame comes back within that 10-day frame or whatever, and he only misses 4, maybe 5 games, I think we're still going to be okay and be, well above 500 in the end. But it's just it's just tough right now if we dig too big of a hole at any point. And that's why we said every time we got to 2 games under 500 this season, just don't lose a third one. Don't lose. And we've responded and won a couple games in a row every single time that's happened this year. So now, I mean, the next 2 games are still at home. You got to find a way to get like 1 out of the 2 at least without Dame, just to stay within that 1 game under 500 and not get 3 games below 500 with the Golden State game looming in the 3rd game from now. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of getting Dame back and just getting back to playing basketball. Because that's the other thing too. I mean, Dame, let's face it, he hasn't played well this year either. So, I mean, if Dame had played well up to this point and then got hurt and went out, we'd probably be in a lot better position right now to be able to afford to lose some of these games, and we probably wouldn't be talking about how this roster is trash or whatever, because we'd be like 5 games over 500 right now. But he struggled on top of people's issues with the roster, and now we're having energy issues all season as well, especially on the road. And it's just a combination that this roster is not equipped to handle, whether I think it's good still or not. They just can't overcome Dame either being out or playing bad, no energy, and like bad game plans, and giving up open shots and lack of accountability. Like this team, this is all the things that we said this team couldn't do the last few years, and continue to do it. And that's why we thought there should be a new coach in charge to maybe send a new message. But this team cannot win this way, and this is not what we want from this roster or this team either.
Yeah. Yep. Shout Prim, Oraz.
Pim.
I always say Prim, dude. I don't know why I always see an R there. Shout to Pim. $10 dono. They say, I think this team is having an identity crisis. If you talk about holding people accountable, you can't backpedal and half-heartedly do that. Heck, at this point, you might as well say, go have fun. And I agree with that. It's just, it's not, this isn't an easy situation for a first-time head coach. That's just, I'm not necessarily excusing everything that Chauncey's doing right now. It's just not an easy situation. Shout out to Gray Hughes Investigates $5 dono. Says that unit that played their asses off and kept holding the Spurs, but didn't score 3 straight times after cutting it to 12. And that's the thing, is like, for as much heat as CJ gets, I was wondering if during that stretch, people were like, oh, wait, we don't have a guy that can create a shot on the floor. And this is horrible. Can't score. Like, our offense was, do you see how bad that was? Horrible. Now, if you don't have a Dame or a CJ in the game, that's why you got to run good sets. You have to have some sort of structure within the offense to create good shots for players, because you don't have a guy that you can rely on to create a good shot just at will. So we weren't doing that. That was a big part of the problem. But, like, I was sitting there like, dude, without CJ on the court and without Ant on the court, like, we're not going to be able to get a good shot. It looked horrible.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't run any sets. It was all just...
Yeah, so, I mean, that's on Chauncey.
Yep.
That part's on Chauncey, 100%. Like, we got to run some structure. We got to run better sets. You look at what the Spurs are running, and then you look at what we're running, and it's like, dude, just... I did a film breakdown on Golden State's run against us, and their set designs are just beautiful. Just awesome, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at the Spurs ran a lot of good sets tonight that were hard to guard. And we have a unit in that doesn't have Dame, CJ, or Ant, and it's just like, Dennis Smith Jr. dribbles up the court, passes it to Larry Nance, kind of half-heartedly cuts, and somebody else like half-heartedly cuts, but they're not cutting full speed, and then somebody else will pop up to the three-point line and catch the ball, and then it's like, okay, I guess we'll run pick and roll, and they shut that down.
Oh no, there's 6 seconds left. Somebody just throw up a bad shot. And
Dennis Smith Jr. airball. Like, it's not good offense, and that's honestly the biggest part I'm disappointed about, because they've tried to play aggressively for the most part on defense. They've switched to some stuff that I don't necessarily agree with, but they've tried to play aggressively. Offensively, though, it's a bunch of stuff around the arc, and it's like, we'll see flashes of it. We'll see more flashes than we did last year. Against Detroit, I mean, just if you got a bunch of time to kill, go rewatch our game against Detroit and then watch this one and look at our offensive sets. Look at the way we run our offense. Completely different.
Yep.
Completely different. So, but that's what I've said is like solid defenses are able to take this team out of their comfort zone and they resort back to just isolation and one-on-one. But it's like guys that weren't on the team last year. So it's like we have to be more solid in what we're trying to do.
I mean, Cameron Weaver says, I don't understand how you don't see that during the game and adjust and run some sets. And that's like during the game, maybe, maybe not. And a little bit of that too is, I mean, we need CJ to score a bunch, especially with Dame out. Like, we need him to be better than he was tonight, which would make up for a little bit of that. But honestly, Chauncey knew that going into the season, so it's kind of frustrating. That's where I put the onus back on him, to where you knew that ISO crap wasn't going to work when you were hired here. That was one of your platforms you got hired on, and now you're just allowing it to continue to happen in games that we maybe could have won had we had a more structured offense and a more aggressive defense. So that's been my frustration, especially on the road. And this game felt like a road game tonight. But like, we just come out and do all the things that we knew we couldn't do on the road and in this game tonight. And it just, that's what bothers me, is that, like, not that he's not noticing it during the game, it's just that we're even allowing it to get to that point without being like, no, we need to have a more structured offense and defense.
Yep, we'll watch the Chauncey interview, so please don't spoil in chat. Shout out to Dro, $2 donor. He says, habits can't be broken in 25 games. Have faith. Well, the problem is energy isn't, I don't know, like, the energy thing shouldn't be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a habit that I think it seems even worse than last year. And it doesn't make sense to me. That's something that's controllable. You can control how hard you try night in, night out. That's not a bad habit that you can't control night in, night out. Bad habits that we're talking about that are tough to break are maybe, making certain reads differently, or being positioned a certain way on defense, or making the right cut instead of spotting up on offense. It's kind of split the moment mental things on the court. Energy does not fall into that. So that's why I'm so discouraged by the lack of energy, the lack of effort, and it's obvious. So appreciate the $2 dono, Dro. Shout out to Clearly a Bot member for 3 months. He says, besides Dame, who is 100% not tradable for you? I wouldn't say anybody is 100% not tradable outside of Dame. There's guys that are unlikely, but nobody's untradeable outside of Dame. Appreciate Clearly for being a member. Go ahead. In my opinion, if you trade Ant or Nas, it better be because you're getting the answer back. Yeah. I'd probably include them in like a Siakam trade if we had to. But I'm not giving them up just for like, I can't think of a name, but just like some random guy. Like, I'm not including like Harrison Bard trades or something. Like, I'm not giving up Rocco and Ant or Rocco and Nas for Harrison Barnes. I don't think that really helps. So, so I'm not doing that. So it kind of depends on them. And then with Nurkic, I still don't think like in a trade there's not like a lot of rebuilding teams that would want Nurk. And there's not a lot of good teams that really need a center like him. So like, the Magic would apparently want Nurk for like Ballman a first, for a young center who may be just as good. The rebuilding Magic want Nurkic on expiring instead. Apparently, but he's just a tough one because like you're not going to trade him straight up for another center that's like his caliber. So I'd say like he's more valuable to us if he's playing well than he would be in a trade. So that's why I would hesitate to trade him, because it almost seems like he'd just be using him as salary filler or an expiring contract, and I don't think it's worth that in those situations. But so those are the kind of the guys I would consider untradeable unless you're getting a true difference maker. Like obviously if like Cat or Jaylen Brown or Embiid or one of those guys became available, and we
it's basically trade anyone but Dame to get those guys, if you can. But like, yeah, right now I just don't see many guys on the market that I would give up those four for.
Yep. Shout out Mills was another $5 dono. Says, didn't we lose to the Spurs last year after CJ and Nurkic got hurt? That was a better Spurs team though. DeRozan and Aldridge. They had both those guys. So then I think they had Rudy Gay, and I think Rudy Gay killed us that game. So that was a tough game. Spurs fan Gary, Lonnie Walker for Anthony Simons. That's a big no-go, my guy. I'm sure you would love that trade, but like something like that, no, no way. Shout out to Gray Hughes Investigates, the legend himself, $5 dono. He says, get the F-in ball to Nurk. Often closer to the basket and run stuff through him. When he touches the ball a lot, we win. I see some like Nurk hate and like Nurk isn't a starting center and needs to lose more weight and all this stuff. Nurkic has been really good the last 4 or 5 games. Okay? He was tough tonight, but so was the entire team. So the people that are blaming Nurk, like they gave him some touches early and he kind of struggled with them. But overall, he's been a much better finisher than he has been at any point in his career, and he's not to blame for the defensive issues at all. So yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is he's been good enough with the ball in his hands that even if he has a little bit of a bad stretch, starts 0 for 3 or whatever, it's still not a situation where we should just then completely go away from him. So I absolutely agree with you, Gray Hughes, because he's been good with the ball this year. And I still want to see more of his playmaking. Like if you're gonna run a lineup without CJ, Ant, and Dame, put in Nurkic and have guys just fly around the court. Just cut, set a bunch of random off-ball screens, and just try and get shots that way and utilize Nurkic's passing. Or even Larry Nance Jr.'s passing. Instead, it's just super stagnant and frustrating. Yeah. Shout out 012, $5 dono. Says, I spilled my coffee this morning. I blame Nurk. Nurk has new coffee. So CJ has wine. Nurkic has coffee. Dame has rap.
And just for the record, Nurk was terrible tonight. CJ was terrible. Like, we're not saying those guys are without blame or anything like that. That's not what we've ever said. But yeah,
it's
you
like
guys
people come in here and say Nurkic can't win matchups against other starting centers. What has he done the last 4 games?
Yeah.
4 or 5 games. What did he do on that 3-game road trip? He was dominant.
YYC, you just don't listen then, man. Just drives me crazy, yeah. You hear what you want to hear.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Shout out Rip City 208. $2 dono. Says, my wife left me. I blame Nurkic. Oh, yeah, that's Nurkic's fault. I can't blame her for leaving you for Nurk, man. But, yeah. Poor Rip City 208. His wife left him. $2 dono, though. Appreciate it. Let's get into the team stats and then get in Brandt's breakdown and then get into player cards. Let's speed things up here. This is the team stats. They suck.
Yep. Yeah, hey. A bad 3-point shooting team we gave up almost 40% to, and yeah.
Tough. Shout say NM for a $1 Australian dono. 35% from the field and 3. Like, it wasn't just the defense, it was our offense too, but that comes down to what are we running offensively?
It's not like San Antonio is like a defensive juggernaut, and we only score 83 on them.
Yep. I mean, everything else, like 19 assists isn't good. On 29 shots, though, I mean, I don't know. We did not score out of isolation hardly at all today. We weren't able to. And when you don't have Dame, you're not going to score as much through isolation and pick and roll. So you got to do some other things.
I think Say NM's message was supposed to say, my mom kicked me out of the house. I blame Nurk.
Oh, poor Say NM, man. Everybody's down bad tonight. Points in the paint, 26 to 54. They had 54 points in the paint. That's tough.
Yep, not good.
Biggest lead, 31. Biggest lead for us, a whopping 0. Anything else stand out here?
No, it just sucked.
Yep, we do. Time for Brandt's breakdown, though. Here we go. I zoomed in on my shirts last stream, so let me get this here. All right.
Say NM with another I guess can't read it.
Yeah,
Australian $1.
you gotta donate you gotta donate $1.99 at least to leave a message.
I do.
So
You?
yeah, because if you only donate $1, it doesn't let you leave a message.
Hmm.
That's how it works, basically. But here we go. We got shout out to Sanum for his $1 donos. I'll read off whatever he says. Laughing emojis is what he said. So shout out to Say. Play number 1, Eric.
All right. So this is the example of our crappy zone defense. So now we're set up kind of in a 2-3. So what that means is CJ and Ben control like the perimeter, and then Rocco plays from that block that he's on to the corner, and then Norm does the same on the opposite side, and then Nurk's supposed to man the paint. So we start off here. It's kind of hard to tell, but Derek White has the ball up top. CJ is guarding him. Now they're going to they're going to set a double screen for him to force McLemore to have to come up and take White.
Okay, you want next slide?
Yeah, as we go to the next slide.
All right.
Sorry, I should have said that.
Yeah, sorry, I was kind of paying attention. But go ahead.
And as you can see, McLemore has to come up, and not only does he switch, but then he gets the double screen on him, and White comes across. Now, McLemore actually does a pretty good job getting through this, but as on this side right here, I just want you to see, they originally overloaded the side, but right now, this is why I don't like zone. I mean, who the heck is Rocco guarding? No one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he's basically useless on this play because, like, there's no one even in this area. They overload the other side with 2 shooters, and there's no one for him to guard. He's not going to come all the way across and guard because that's not his responsibility in the zone. And Nurk's basically guarding no one because they have no roll man in this play. So as we go to the next slide, White's going to pass to Lonnie Walker, and Walker's going to get Powell to run out at him, which Powell has to do there. And then Walker just, look, before we go to the next slide. So once again, look at Rocco. Rocco and Nurk are basically guarding no one on this play.
And it's not on them because that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. But, so in a 2-3 zone, if the bottom guy in Norm Powell's position has to come out to this spot where Lonnie Walker has the ball, then Nurk has to get out on that 3-point shooter.
Yep.
But I don't know if it's by design because he didn't do that at all, or if they want him to just stay in the paint or protect the paint. And because how we were doing it is Norm's responsibility is then when the pass goes to try and get to the corner too, which is never going to happen. So as you go to the last slide, basically Norm's has to guard 2 guys, and we have an easy pass to a wide open shooter, no one within 5-6 feet of him, and he hits an open 3, and uncontested. And this is a scheme issue, like zone, either the zone wasn't working tonight or they weren't making the right rotations out of it. But just because we're in a zone and San Antonio against a disciplined team like San Antonio, it's really hard to do stuff like this, play zone, when they'll just set up the floor to make you pay for it and get an open shot out of it. And that's really hard to do.
And here's the thing. It works better in college because in college you have less space, right? So it's a little bit easier to maybe have one guy guard 2 and, shooters aren't as good. In the NBA, there's so much space. It's really hard to run a 2-3 zone. And the only way it works is if you kind of got guys that are a little bit switchable. But yeah, like in this situation, Nurkic has to get corner, and then basically Nurkic is the outside guy. Rocco becomes the middle guy. CJ McCollum becomes the down guy on the other side, right?
Yep.
And if it swings over, maybe it rotates, shifts back. It just shifts and it moves. But like with Nurkic, he's solidly mobile, but I don't want to run zone in this situation. It works if you have guys that struggle to shoot because you don't have to get all the way out on them. So like if this was a guy that struggled to shoot with the ball, Norm maybe wouldn't have to get out on him. Now you don't want to tempt NBA shooters, but we ran against Memphis, who had Kyle Anderson on the court, questionable shooter, John Morant, questionable shooter. It had some success. So you can run it situationally against Lonnie Walker, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, you don't want to run zone. They play for Greg Popovich. They're going to know how to pass the ball, right? And they can all shoot. So it's just, I don't like that idea. I agree with that.
And here's the thing. If you're going to play zone, you have to fly around. And this is another thing where the effort and energy level. So the zone, if you don't do that, will lead to lazy, you're out of position for rebounds, so you probably give up more rebounds than you normally would. You give up open shots like this, and it just, not only are you playing with no effort, but then you're also giving up shots because of scheme. So in a zone, you have to fly around, and against a team like with a good coach like Popovich, who's going to run a good play to make you pay in the zone, you have to, like, it doesn't matter if you're out of position or in the wrong spot. You just have to fly out at someone. So, like, in this situation, Nurk should have flied out to the corner, even if that's not his responsibility. Someone else should have rotated, like you said, and keep rotating until the possession's over. And if you give up a shot because, like, someone missed a rotation or something, that's fine. But, like, to give up a three just because we're in a zone, basically, is just unacceptable in my mind.
Yep, agree with that. Let's move on to play number 2.
Now, these last two plays are infuriating, and I wanted to show you guys this because this is an example of players just not giving an F, and I am sick of it. I am just flat out sick of it. I'm sick of it not being held accountable. I'm sick of it being the norm in these games. No pun intended. But, like, this is happening way too much, and this is not roster. This is not scheme. This is something that players are just not trying hard enough, and it's driving me crazy. So on this play, we have first of all, Norm was late getting back, so Nurk had to go cover his guy, so he's not even up on the pick and roll here with Pirtle and I think that's Lonnie Walker on this play. Yeah. So Nurk is out of position simply because Norm didn't get back fast enough, and you can see them pointing in this position. Nurk's pointing to the corner where Norm's guys be, and then Nurk has to come up. But that's not what happens in this play. It's kind of irrelevant, just kind of a side note. So Walker's going to come off the screen, hand the ball to DeJounte Murray. Murray's going to come across and get
Is this
another
the next slide. This looks kind of different.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. This one, I had the wrong guy. So Walker just goes through a screen on this. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's just, yeah. My bad. I got the two plays mixed up. So,
yeah.
Walker's going to come to this spot. Now, as you can see right here, CJ is guarding Derek White, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, on this second slide, tell me what CJ is doing here.
Chat, tell us what CJ's doing in this position. I want to hear you guys say it. I want to hear your guys' answer.
Because Rocco gets through the screen. He's on ball. Like, he's in good position. Nurk is basically back to his guy and can also help if Rocco gets beat at any point right here.
Yep, Ben McLemore is playing how he should on the opposite corner, denying.
Yep, denying the one pass away. Norm is sagging a little bit. He can easily recover if they swing it to his guy in the corner. Probably gets a steal if they try it. Mm-hmm. CJ, not only is he turned around so he doesn't even see that White moves to the top from the side, but he's also, like, 7 feet away from him? Like, he has no business even being that far away from him because he's not in a help position here. He's not doing anything in this play to help. So this is an example of he's out of position. He's in a help position where the players need no help at all. The other 4 players are in perfect guarding position, and we have one player just fall asleep. And as you go to the next slide, not only does that happen, and this, I mean, I'm going to get mad just even talking about this. CJ stops right here. He freaking stops, hands down, doesn't even close out, doesn't put a hand up. White just catches the ball. He's expecting CJ to run out him. Nothing. CJ doesn't do anything. He puts his hand up after the shot has already gone up, and as you go to the force slide,
Yep.
he eventually gets close to him after he's already shot the ball. Like, what is he doing? So, nothing. No, he does nothing on this play. He just stands there and lets him shoot. Doesn't put his hands up. Doesn't give a closeout. Nothing. It's just, and like I said, once again, all 4 other players are in perfect position, and it's just one guy with a stupid play, lack of effort, and this should be an immediate benching for not even putting a hand up or closing out on a wide open shooter, falling asleep. It's one thing if you get caught ball watching. It happens to every player in this league, even the greatest defenders. But you have to hustle to make up for it and at least contest the frickin' shot. And this is absolutely disgusting, pitiful defense by CJ McCollum on this play.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's frustrating for me because CJ McCollum, when he's like fully bought in and mentally locked in, he's actually an above average defender. I mean, go back, if you're a channel member, go back and watch my first film breakdown. I focused on a lot of CJ's defense against Phoenix, second game of the season. Dude was phenomenal on Devin Booker that game. And he wasn't doing crap like this. And it's like, that's where I talk about CJ McCollum is not incapable of being a solid defender.
In this game, he had plenty of examples of that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he had 4 blocks. So it's like when he just has too many mental lapses. And he's not committed enough to cleaning it up, in my opinion, because it's still, it's not showing improvement. And that's what's frustrating. Is like people act like, oh, CJ McCollum has no chance at ever being a good defender because he just sucks. And the only reason he'd have no chance at becoming a good defender is if he just doesn't care enough to, which might be the case. So maybe he doesn't have a chance. And at that point, just send him, trade him to the moon. I don't care. Like, we got to get guys that are committed, bought in on the defensive end. That's the only way we're going to fix this awful defense. And it's like, it's just frustrating because I don't think it's roster because he's solid when he's bought in, right? But, I mean, I don't know. If he's not willing to commit and clean up this crap, then you got to trade him.
And like I said, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone's going to make mistakes. It's how you react to those mistakes. We've been talking about that all season. And just not only to get to have that huge of a mistake where you get caught falling asleep, but then to not even try to make up for it or try to close out on the shooter. And, you know, a little bit of it might have been the game plan tonight was to let them shoot threes. They're not a good three-point shooting team. But at this point, you know, it's already at a point where they've hit several threes. It's not like we were playing good defense and this is just one bad play or whatever. You know, we were doing horrible on defense in this game. We gave up 30 points plus in both of the first 2 quarters. So, definitely. And I don't know if you have to get your hand fully up or close out hard on him, but at least put your freaking hand up. You know what I mean? Like, don't have both arms at the side when he catches the ball. Yeah.
It's just frustrating because in this position, he doesn't need a help. Where is Lonnie Walker's picked up his dribble? If CJ is on Derek White and denying
he
Derek
has nowhere
White,
to go. Yep.
What is he gonna do? He has no option. He doesn't have his dribble. He doesn't have a teammate to pass to. And Rocco is on him. Like, if he decides to somehow try and shoot that, it's going to be an awful shot. So he doesn't. That's the thing is, you always have the option to dribble, shoot, and pass. Right? Picked up his dribble. Doesn't have a shot here. Wouldn't have a pass if CJ McCollum was just playing logical defense. And that's where it comes to just illogical, dumb mistakes. So that's a great example of just some of the issues we're talking about. And it's like, if you have Ben Simmons where Robert Covington is, like, sure, you want to trade CJ for Ben Simmons, so maybe this wouldn't happen if you have Ben Simmons on the roster, but there's other guys that'll do this crap. Like, you can play great defense at the point of attack in Robert Covington's position, and if you have one guy just inexplicably sagging off his guy for no reason, then not even trying to close out, it doesn't matter.
And the frustrating part is, like I said, all the other guys are played this possession perfectly, so it's like all their work on this play goes for nothing, and it looks like we gave up an open 3 and our defense sucks and our scheme sucks and our coaching sucks and the players can never do anything right, and that's all the casuals say, but they don't realize that this is an easily correctable mistake if CJ just cared and tried a little harder and wasn't out of position.
Yep, absolutely agree. All right, play number 3.
All right, here we have an equally infuriating play. This time, well, okay, I'll wait for it to get set up.
We got it up.
All right. So once again, Blazers are set up well. You have DeJounte Murray coming. He's about to get a pick from Pirtle. Nurk is going to help off of it. You got Snell guarding White up top. He's in good position between, basketball and man. Rocco's in a good position right now. Norm is in a pretty good position. As we go to the next slide, Portal's going to get the screen. And Nurk's actually gonna come out on him. They basically trap him in this situation. Now, who do you think is in the wrong position here, Tori?
It's Rocco.
Yep, it's Rocco. Okay.
He's one pass away.
So here we go. If CJ and Nurk trap this correctly, the only pass DeJounte Murray has that's somewhat accessible is to the corner. Now, he could probably sneak a pass into Pirtle, but Norm is right there in the middle of the key. All he has to do is take 2 steps forward and meet him there. Pirtle couldn't get to the rim. He might shoot a floater or a shot over there, but you'll take that, right?
Yeah, or Norm might get a steal if he's able to just run through the pass.
Yep. And then on top, you have Snell in between his guy who's just off the screen and Lonnie Walker in the top corner. He could easily recover to either of those if he tried to throw a pass. And DeJounte would have to throw it so high that Snell probably easily steals either of those, right?
Yeah, and Snell's responsibility there is to get whichever one of those guys the ball is passed to first, and then Norm rotates out to the second guy.
Yep.
It's that simple, and then everybody's back.
So once again, we have, our blitzes are terrible, right? We give up the most possessions per game. It's obviously Nurk and our guards' fault. Like, this team can never play good defense, right? Once again, here we are. But Rocco, all he has to do here is deny that corner. If he's up between the man and ball, denying that, DeJounte probably turns the ball over here, right?
Yep.
And instead, as we go to the next slide, Rocco, just like CJ, freaking stands there. He doesn't even move. He doesn't even contest the shot. His hands are at his side once again. He doesn't put them up. Keldon Johnson, who's already hit a couple threes from the corner, wide open once again. Like, don't even bother, Rocco. You're out of position. Not only could you have prevented the pass from even getting there, but you don't even close out. You don't put a hand up, and they get a freaking easy shot. And once again, everyone else is in perfect position. By this time, even if he catches that pass, if Rocco's on him, Nurk is back to his guy. Norm is in perfect position. Snell is in perfect position. Keldon would have nowhere to go with the ball. And I don't understand. This is easily fixable if it's being addressed and not being allowed. Like, if it's just held accountable. And that's why we were excited when that was all off season. That's all we talked about was accountability. And this is exactly, put a freaking address on this crap, Chauncey. This crap, these last 2 plays I did. It has nothing to do with skill or defensive capability or point of attack defenders or rim protection or anything. It's just people being out of position and messing up good defensive possessions, just one freaking player, because they're freaking lazy and they're not doing their job. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it being like all these stupid people try to say it's because like this defense is just incapable and the roster, there's no way this team can play good defense because of the players on the team, the personnel, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the case. This is so easy to correct. Either get Rocco's ass out of the game or make sure he's not doing this crap. It drives me crazy. Like, and then, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I was so infuriated by these 2 plays tonight, and it wasn't just these 2 plays. These are just like the most egregious examples.
Yep. I mean, here's what's funny is if you had Greg Brown in here, that dude really wants to play. He ain't making this mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm about to deny it. Like, it's basic basketball stuff. You're one pass away and the ball is contained, you deny. It's something that you learn in high school. It's something that you learn early.
Yep. And it, I don't know. I mean, this is why, like, if people are gonna play like this, just get them out of here. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't blame people if they don't see this, right?
Yeah.
Like if they have their opinions about the roster because they don't see this stuff as it happens, like that's fine. And there are other possessions where it's like CJ McCollum might not have what it takes mentally, right? Like I'm at the point where I mean, if you have guys that just cannot focus enough mentally to be adequate defenders, then get them out of there. It's not that they're incapable physically. It might be that they're incapable mentally, right? But like Rocco has always been a great off-ball defender. This is just this year, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what's frustrating. Is it's like he's gone off a cliff. So it's not that he's been incapable mentally, right? It's not like maybe a CJ situation. He's been able to do this mentally. He's able to do this physically. Shoot, I could do this physically. You literally just gotta stand next to the guy. It's not hard. It's very, very easy. So that's the thing is a lot of our defense is nuanced, right? It's nuanced mistakes where like 4 guys will play well and 1 guy's out of position. And that's a defensive breakdown. And this series is to break down those nuances. And hopefully people will see them or see that, oh, it's not just a situation where the only thing we can say is roster. The only problem is just the backcourt. The only problem is Norman Powell is playing the 3 guards. Like, it's easy to sit here and say those cliches because it takes no thought to say that. You don't have to watch games. Like, I can look at this game. Oh, we gave up 14 points. Oh, 3-guard lineup. The roster's incapable. Like, you gotta watch the game to have that analysis. And a lot of people do, I don't know, like a lot of the analysis that I see out there is based on opinions that I hear every single game that aren't necessarily based on anything that happened within the game. So we want to be that one stop where we talk about what happens in the game, right? Like that's what that segment's for. We're talking about what's happening in the game. It's not just cliches that we're throwing out here, right? Now, if CJ's incapable mentally of giving consistent effort and consistent focus, that's kind of sad. Like, I don't know why that'd be the case, but if that's the case, then maybe gotta ship him out. So I don't know. That's kind of where I sit on this.
Tori, you're wrong. It's just called older players that aren't as good at athletes. And you can't make 9 and 10-year vets play with effort, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the frustrating part. So, I don't know. Like, it's nuanced. It's tough. But, yeah. Anyway, that's Brand's Breakdown. I'm enjoying this segment, man. I'm enjoying actually being able to show exactly what we're talking about. Because I come on streams and start talking about certain situations, and then it's like... Now it's like, I'll talk about certain situations and then you'll show them. And it's cool.
Well, it's like, I don't know. That clearly shows like what we were talking about with the lack of effort tonight. And there's no energy and coming out flat and just not playing the right way and all that stuff. And yeah, so it's really frustrating. But I mean, I had to show you guys, like, this is what we're talking about. And this is why we get so frustrated and we're getting called out by all these people who said, we're wrong or whatever, which is fine. Like, say whatever you want. But like these are things that, I mean, if you don't think those are fixable things or things where if we're truly holding people accountable, they shouldn't be in the game if they continue making those mistakes. Like that's a situation where, I mean, I don't know, like, you're basically saying no NBA player is coachable. Like, I just can't get behind that. I completely disagree, and I think a good coach. I mean, Chauncey might be struggling to toe the line between, completely losing a guy like CJ or Rocco, and like I said, there might be a little bit of not wanting to completely tank their trade value either at this point in the season. But yeah, it's just a case of like this stuff. I mean, you can't be about accountability and putting an address on it if you're allowing this crap.
Yep, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. All right, let's hop into the player cards. This was off the last game.
All right.
CJ McCollum did not do that well tonight, unfortunately. Let's pull up the new player cards. Here we go. We're going to start off with... What's up?
I got it for every player. I got the analysis.
You got the analysis? What do you mean?
Yep. I have it ready for every player. I'm ready. We're going to go fast.
All right. CJ McFlurry. He went from McNuggets to McFlurry. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. I guess maybe they didn't count his 4th block. I thought the broadcast said he had 4 blocks, but only 3. Did not shoot well from the field.
Terrible.
Okay. Let's...
Minus 28, too.
Yeah. Yikes. Cody Zeller was not supposed to be next. Poor Cody. You did not do that well. Norm Harden Powell, 3 for 13, 4 rebounds and assists. I got to the line 8 times, so I guess that's the Harden reference. It was 8 for 8, so 16 points on 13 shots was more efficient than the rest of the team tonight, unfortunately. But, yeah.
Yeah, like the aggression. Glad he, at least tries to get to the rim and gets the line, that, like... commendable, but still terrible.
We got Ben Save Us Mac. He's become the Save Us guy, I guess. I mean, he kind of put the team on his back there for a couple possessions, knocked down some threes during that run, that comeback to get within 12. Ben Save Us Macklemore, what are your thoughts on him?
Okay.
Shout out Jackson, $2 dono. He says
he's probably our best player.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Did you think any game this season we'd be saying Ben McLemore coming off a really good game would be our best player in the next game?
I mean, I'd have been like, well, injuries must have really crushed us, which, I mean, injuries are kind of crushing us right now, but oh my goodness, that's not good. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. Shout Jackson, $2 dono. He says, people put their anger on Nurkic like a punching bag. And Krish calls him Yusuf Beans Nurkic. 10 points, 3 for 8 from the field, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 23 minutes.
Yeah, this is one of Nurk's worst games in a while. It's just, yeah, he did not play well tonight. So, yeah.
Unfortunate.
Guess I got to say terrible too, right?
Yep. Robert, Ian's favorite, Covington. 10 points, 6 rebounds, and assists. 4 for 7 from the field, 2 for 4 from the three-point line. Efficient night for him, but...
It was all right, but, 3 turnovers.
Defensive mistakes.
Defensive mistakes.
You just went over one of them, so...
Man, it's so frustrating, too, because, one of the first plays of the game, he, had that nice, strong baseline move, finished in traffic. I'm like, okay, Rocco, and then, it's like, the rest of the game, it's like, okay.
Yeah, okay, not as happy. Shout out to Jackson being efficient with the block button before I could get to it. Good job, Jackson. Dennis washed big. Smith Jr., 6 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, including an air ball, 5 fouls, 3 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking crap to the other team for some reason. I don't know why.
I missed that.
Like down 20 and we're talking crap. Yeah.
We don't need another Hassan White.
Yeah. Not a good game from Smith. I mean, he's okay on defense, but was pretty bad on offense tonight.
Yep. Larry Menace Nance Jr., 4 points, 5 rebounds, and assists, 3 steals.
And just for the reference, the wash big is because Chris thinks he shoots like an old big man who's lost a step, and he kind of does.
I mean, that air ball looked like a wash big to me, man.
Yeah. I mean, Nance was actually okay in this one. I don't think he really messed up a lot. He had some bad shot attempts trying to get it over shot blockers or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't think he was terrible tonight. Could have used those free throws. We're trying to come back, and that's always a killer when you miss 2 free throws. You can't score in 5 straight possessions. You're playing good defense, and then you come away empty with another possession, even though you got free throws on it. So, yeah.
I mean, energy-wise, even on games where we lack it, he's been pretty consistent. So he's not the problem there.
Also, when you make a run, cut it to 14, I think at the time, you can't get that technical, man.
But like honestly, like we weren't coming back in this game anyway. At least he showed that he cared tonight.
I guess, yeah. I like to clap afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I wish he got ejected, man. Like, just show somebody on this, show the team that somebody here cares.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. Like he's the only guy who showed frustration tonight, like visible frustration for the most part, and that's frustrating. Somebody earlier said take a shot every time we say frustrating. So we're gonna.
We're frustrated.
Yeah, people are gonna die tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's starting to feel a little bit like
Christmas.
Well, this is. I mean, obviously the Dame injury is way more important, but Nas going down too. It's starting to feel a little bit like in the playoffs in 2019 when Hood and Zach Collins were like definitively better and deserved time over the starters, and it was getting pretty obvious that there needed to be a switch, like with Harkless and Aminu, and we just needed to go to different lineups and stuff that are actually proving it on the court. So that's the frustrating thing about Nas going down, because maybe you could make a switch there and bring in your energy guys, Nas and Larry, into the starting lineup and maybe get off to better starts in games or something. But yeah, unfortunately that won't be happening for at least a week.
Unfortunately not. Yeah. Let's move on and talk about Keljin the GOAT. I stopped watching. Keljin hit a 3.
Oh man, you didn't see it?
I didn't see the GOAT hit a oh my god, I stopped watching. What is wrong?
It was his first shot too.
Sad now.
Just pure good swing pass to him and wide open, knocks it down. And then he had a heat check 3.
How'd that go?
Missed it.
Did he get rim at least?
Yeah, I can't remember if that
him, man.
There were so many bad shots in that stretch. I think it hit front rim barely, but yeah.
But I mean, he shot a
his other 3 was
The fact that he shot a heat check is just phenomenal, and then the fact that heat check also hit rim is also phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Keljin. Terrific, Eric. Best player tonight, in my opinion. Should have started him. Shout out to Kelvin Legends. We got Cody Zeller, clamps.
Yeah, I actually thought
+1.
Zeller was okay on defense in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he played in the second half. But yeah, offensively he's still kind of struggling outside of the one nice pass from Snell to him. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. Probably a good decision not to play him in the second half, because we kind of needed a smaller, quicker lineup, and the defense was actually really good with our second unit in the second half. But yeah, I don't know. Tough game for him to come into with their second unit, having Thaddeus Young as the center. It's not really a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, that's the player cards. That was pretty efficient.
No Beef Snellington.
I did not see a Beef Snellington. I don't know. I don't want to talk about Tony Snell right now, man. I don't know. How was Tony Snell tonight, Eric?
Other than those times I mentioned him just because he was off ball on those plays, and he had that nice pass, and he had a missed 3 on a wide open 3. Other than that, I don't even remember him playing much.
It's funny how he can just be out
2
there,
assists.
but it doesn't seem like he's out there.
I'm having trouble thinking of his second assist off the dribbles. Okay.
Anyway, you guys ready? You guys want Chauncey?
Yeah, let's do it.
Is that what you described? All right, we got Chauncey.
I'm just going to say before you play this, I'm going to get frustrated.
Bro, you want to guys, you want a Stotts flashback?
I'm going to get frustrated because I mean, chat kind of spoiled some of the stuff. But
way to go. Chat, don't spoil Chauncey quotes.
The effort issues are just
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this ever again. I don't want to hear it. Like, lose games because you can't hit shots or whatever. Like I missed the we just missed shots.
Yeah, I agree. All right, it's very long. It's very. All right, it's 8 minutes 50 seconds. Let's listen to Chauncey. Coach.
It was disappointing. I just felt like we didn't competing wise. We never really gave ourselves a chance from the start of the game. We talked about how hard this team plays. We talked about how hungry they are. No matter their record, they're not a 6-win team. We talked about all of those things. And, we came out and I think for the first 4 or 5 shots we didn't shoot one good shot. Just all, I call them shooting turnovers. And you give a team, you give them some confidence, and this is the NBA, and that's why they play the games, and we just didn't have it. I felt like our second group, they started playing as hard as we needed to play, and they moved the ball strong side to weak side. And
living with opioid addiction can be a struggle.
I forgot to log into my non-ad account, so let me do that real quick. Opioid commercials, we don't want that, right? I don't know. All right.
Maybe someone in chat is struggling with addiction and needs.
Hey, if you're struggling for addiction, we're here for you. Wish I had a hotline to plug right now, but call a hotline or something. All right.
And you give a team, you give them some confidence, and this is the NBA, and that's why they play the games, and we just didn't have it. I felt like our second group, they started playing as hard as we needed to play, and they moved the ball strong side to weak side. And unfortunately, I had to take them out. They was tired. If I could have, I would have rolled with them the rest of the way. But they were tired, and I took them out, and they made a run again. Game was over, so it was a tough night.
Chauncey, can you give any insight?
Feel free to pause this at any time, Eric.
Okay.
Feel free to start talking at any time.
All right.
To, at halftime tonight, what is your tenor, your mood, your approach to that?
Well, I'm upset. I'm upset because I just felt like, everything that we talked about doing, we just didn't do it. And yes, we knew. We talked about it. They scored the most points in the paint. We give up 13 transition points in the first quarter. And we said, okay, yeah, they haven't been a great three-point shooting team, but they come out and make 11 threes in the first half. So I'm like, okay, either we take away the paint or we take away the three. I don't know if they can make another 11. Just hang in there, But yeah, I'm upset, but I'm also, that half is over. What kind of adjustments? How can we adjust and get back in this game? There's a lot of basketball left. Those are kind of my messages.
So do you feel like your message is getting through to these guys, or is there something getting lost in translation, or are they just not good listeners, or?
I think, maybe all of the above. I probably got to do a better job of getting through, to them what's really important. I think I communicate pretty effectively, but sometimes you just don't have your best stuff, Jason. You have those type of nights, and it sucks. But it's the NBA. You can't underestimate anybody. You can't not respect everybody for being an NBA professional player. And I felt like we came in tonight feeling like we're such a good road team that this team was just going to lay down. It's never going to happen.
We're going to take one from the Zoom. Go ahead, Aaron Fentress.
Home team.
Yeah, you know.
Aaron Fentress, go ahead.
Go, Aaron. Aaron. Where's Aaron?
Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron. All right, other questions?
You mentioned some competition.
The next 6 minutes just waiting for Aaron.
Aaron, hello. That's funny, man. I wonder what happened. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, no Aaron, unfortunately.
Do you mean like effort in that regard, like, or how do you feel like the team's effort was?
Yeah, I do. I do mean effort. You know, and that has a lot to do with just knowing the game plan, you know, knowing personnel, and then just like individually compete, you know, just actually compete. And I just know, like, you know, when you're playing in a game, if you know exactly what a team wants to do and you've been prepared enough, like, you should be able to at least slow it down early on until they make adjustments, right? And a lot of times we do that, and we're successful at it. And there's sometimes that we don't. I mean, you look at all the slow starts that we've gotten off to all season, And sometimes, most of the times, obviously in this building, we're able to absorb those slow starts. And today we weren't.
We'll get back to Zim. Aaron Fentress, go ahead.
You got me this time?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so I don't know what happened before, but anyway, given how much you guys have struggled on the road, do you sort of feel like you can't afford to be dropping games like this at home to sub 500 teams, regardless of the fact that they have NBA players, et cetera, but there has to be a sense of we need to win these home games?
I mean, I go into these games like this, Aaron, and I'm not thinking about our road record or what's going on the road. I'm so happy to be home and have an opportunity to win a game. But yeah, you know, you look at a game like this, you feel like before the game or after the game, you're looking at it saying this is a game you probably should have won. But this is a hard-playing team. I mean, obviously, Coach Pop is over there. I mean, we're shorthanded. We lose Ant in 10 minutes into the game. It was tough. It was tough, but yeah, you would like to look at it and say, man, we got to win this game, but it didn't happen.
Chauncey,
What's the word with Ant?
Huh?
What's the word with Ant?
Oh, I don't know. I seen him at halftime. He was getting treatment. I don't have a word on him.
His right ankle sprain. Go ahead.
Chauncey, we're 23 games in. You know, it's a pretty decent body of work to analyze.
Mm-hmm.
What's your biggest concern with this team now?
My biggest concern, I think, at the moment is, you know, I want us to compete harder, man. I want us to compete harder. I want us to be more competitive in every game, you know, in every game. And I don't feel like every night we do that. I really don't. I don't feel like we do that every night. And that concerns me.
That's a brutal thing to hear.
It's a brutal thing to say. It really is. It's a brutal thing to say. That concerns me. And I felt that way in a lot of our wins. You know, this is not just after a loss, me saying that. You can have games where you win, where you actually get worse, you know, because you do things so poorly throughout a stretch or two. You end up winning, and then guys don't end up understanding the lesson in the win. And that hurts you, you know, and then when you can't practice, you really can't practice because of the schedule. We have a lot of bodies and people out, you know. It makes it tough. It makes it tough.
Got time for a couple more.
So how do you remedy that you're not finding guys who are competing hard enough? How do you remedy that?
Well, I just feel like, and I think I've shown, you know, throughout the season, this early season, I'm going to find. I just want to find guys that's going to play hard, man. You know, I'm willing to lose games that way. I've ended games with lineups that, you know, people probably scratch their head at, you know. But if I find guys that's going to compete, you know, and have this winning spirit about them, I love it. I love it. Like it's crazy to say this, but like, I'll be happy. I was happy to see Dennis get a tech. I'm happy to see him mad that we're losing. I don't see a lot of that. Like, I want a guy to be mad when we're losing. I see that fire in him. I don't. That excites me. You know, that's that competitive spirit that you need.
And that's exactly what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
We're not mad enough. We're not competitive enough. I mean, at least.
But why?
He said he will just play the guys who are playing the hardest, but he doesn't. Like, CJ will have a lackadaisical game, a lazy game, and he'll still play like 38, 39 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't think he's doing that enough. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it'd be one thing if like CJ or name a player was having that and they played like 18 minutes or something, right, instead of 37. But yeah, it's kind of hard when CJ and other players are just as big a culprit. Like, we had a game earlier in the season where Rocco played like 39, 40 minutes and he was not good in that game. And it's stuff like that. It's like confusing to me that he's saying the right things. Like, that's how you hold people accountable, by playing the guys who actually show they want it, which is fine. And like, I made that statement when you said like Snell shouldn't be playing. I said like maybe he's showing something to the coaches that he like actually cares or whatever. Like, maybe that's why he's playing. But like, I just don't see that enough. I just don't think you can get away with that motto and those kind of theories without actually holding everyone to the same standard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, CJ, we had 5 minutes of garbage time. CJ McCollum played 32 minutes. Like, at what point do you send more of a message? I don't know, and it's not enough. Obviously, there's so many games where Robert Covington has played lackadaisical with horrible energy, and Larry Nance Jr. has played with a ton of energy and played better, and Robert Covington's still getting 8-9 more minutes than Larry Nance Jr. So I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're willing to take losses to play the guys who are playing more competitive. I don't feel that way. He said he ended the game with certain lineups that people might scratch their head at, but that's like Nance at center. Nobody's scratching their head at that. Like, it's not like you're ending a game with Dennis Smith Jr. in the game. Like, that's what people would scratch their head at, maybe, is Dennis Smith Jr. being in the game. But
let me say this, okay? Trevin says it's tough in this game not to play CJ, though, and Kirk right after that says NBA is a business. CJ makes too much money to be benched.
No, he doesn't.
No, okay. You can't have it both ways, though. If you say, I don't care about winning, or that's not what he said. He said, I care more. I want to see people work hard. If that costs this game and we lose or whatever, I'd rather go down with the guys that are working hard, right? That doesn't matter. Like, when you have that philosophy, you cannot then say, oh, I have to play CJ because he makes $30 million, or I can't bench so-and-so. Like, you have to either have that apply to everyone, like I said, or not have that theory and just say it only applies to, like, Nurkic and Myers-Leonard or whatever, like Stotts did, you know? Like, it can't be for it has to be for everyone. If you flat out say, I want guys who are working hard and showing me that, you can't then just say, oh, but CJ is really important. If he's not working hard, I'm going to keep him in the game anyway. Like, that contradicts everything you're trying to do. So, yeah, I don't know. Until he starts doing it more with the main guys, I don't know.
How much is Domantas Sabonis making right now?
I think it's about 20 to 22-ish.
Yeah, I thought it was a max.
No, he signed a really good contract, yeah.
I shouldn't question your salary knowledge. Okay, I mean, he's not making as much as CJ, but, like, he got benched Like, Carlisle benched the starters 8 minutes into the third quarter for the rest of the game earlier this season. And they started playing better right after that. I think they won 2 in a row after that. CJ making $30 million doesn't mean you can't bench him. Like, why? Why can't you bench him because he's making $30 million? There doesn't... Like, CJ can just say, nah, you're not going to bench me. I make more money than you. So I'm in charge. Like, I don't understand how CJ is unbenchable because of the money he's making. And it might be as simple as you play him 25 minutes, 22 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get what Trevin's saying because in this game, you know, you have Ant go down, you're already missing Dame. Like, you absolutely need CJ to step up tonight.
Yeah, but it's not like CJ had it tonight.
But then after the game, don't say, I'm going to hold him accountable and I'm going to play the guys who I'm willing to lose a game like this, which we got our butts kicked anyway, so what would it matter, right? You send a message and you lose by 21, but at least you sent a message to next game that this crap won't stand moving forward. And instead, we just allow it and let those guys play, and now that's why it never changes. And then, you know, 5 games from now when we have a game like this and Chauncey's up there saying, I don't know, we just didn't bring it tonight. It's just like, I was disappointed. I tried to tell them the right things going into the game, but they just didn't come out right with the right mindset. It's going to make me even more mad because, like, this is the type of game that you send those messages to so it doesn't happen in the future. And I just don't feel like he's doing that right now.
Yeah, there's been a number of games that I knew, you could tell, we're not coming back in this game. And he's still playing CJ like 39 minutes. And Dame 39 minutes, and Rocco like 32 minutes, and Nance, who's playing better and with more energy than Rocco, 20 minutes. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Like, he's saying the right things, but we're not seeing it like he says we're seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, he's willing to take more accountability. He's willing to call out the players for a lack of effort. He's trying to do better things defensively. It's not like this is a worse situation coaching-wise than last year. It's just when you have injuries right now, you have a tough early season schedule, you have Dame in a slump, and then you have players, for whatever reason, giving horrible effort and making stupid, just like horrible defensive mistakes that you showed in Brandt's breakdown. When you combine all those things, you get the situation the Blazers are now at 11-12. That's the result.
Yep.
So, like, that's the thing. If Dame is healthy and, like, playing, like, MVP level Dame, we're probably sitting here at, like, 15-8 right now or something like that. But this stuff is still a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but the difference is if you're 15-8 and you're still having problems, people would be like, oh man, just imagine when we're not having these problems, right? But Dame struggles and our record's worse because of it, and we're still having these problems, and people are screaming patience. Whereas if you're 15-8, patience would like be fine because you could basically say we're winning games even making all these mistakes. But now think about it like 20 games from now when we're not making as many mistakes. But since we're struggling to stay around 500, and then people just don't want to hear the patient part or like that.
And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. Like, it got to change.
Right. And I just want to address something Kyle was saying that, like, he said it seems like people want him to call out certain players. I'm not saying to do any of this publicly. I didn't want him to come out tonight and be like, "Oh, CJ and Rocco were complete garbage tonight." You know, I don't want him to do that.
Yeah, some things you just don't do publicly.
But like, you have to do it. Don't say you're holding people accountable when CJ is averaging like 36 minutes a game. You know, like
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sucks, man. Do you want to talk trades for like 5 minutes and go around the NBA to finish?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you guys want us to talk trade wise? All right, I think, Eric, we need like a certain type of personality that's really hard to get. We need a Draymond Green, PJ Tucker, Chris Paul type personality in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody like that is potentially available and makes sense at a position that we need?
that's tough. I don't think there's a lot of those players that are available.
Patrick Beverly is tossed out there.
Actually, DJ Vega brings up a good one that Torrey Craig type might be. He was that guy for Phoenix last year. I know you hate him, but
No, I don't hate him. Is he that guy in terms of like being a vocal leader that'll hold teammates accountable?
Marcus Smart cannot be traded this year due to he signed an extension late in offseason.
Marcus Smart would be good, but he can't be traded, unfortunately. But like that's the thing. Like defensively, I like Torrey Craig, but I don't feel like he would have the respect of fellow players, like a Draymond, a CP3, and it doesn't like PJ Tucker has that respect, and he's not as good as those guys. He's more of a role player. Like PJ Tucker would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. But Miami's not going to trade him, so
I know. Like that's the thing. If you had him instead of Rocco, we're not talking about Rocco's stupid mistake with PJ Tucker. We're not worrying about that. Like we need, I don't know. Thad Young isn't that type of personality. Like Jimmy Butler, like isn't that type of person. He's a star though, so like that's the thing is what that's the tough part, man. Is there's not anybody that I can think of.
The other problem is like Holmes says TJ McConnell, who's a good defensive guard, but he's also a guard. Like I feel like it has to be a wing or a big too.
But I don't want just a good defender. I want a guy who will like be the heart and soul of the team, vocal, light a fire under the team if they're coming out with a lack of energy. That's what Draymond would do. That's what PJ Tucker would do. That's what Chris Paul would do. But that's like Marcus Smart would do. I mean, Marcus Smart ain't afraid to call out Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum for not passing. You know what I mean? So, like, he definitely wouldn't be afraid to call out our lack of effort. But Marcus Smart can't be traded. Those other three guys aren't going to be traded. So,
Dylan Brooks might be a good one, but I don't see Memphis trading him, though.
Yeah. And
he's
offensively.
He's a guard.
Yeah, and he's a guard.
But he will say stuff.
It's just weird to be talking about, like, try to trade for a certain type of personality, because I've never thought about trades like that.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I've never thought about trades like this, Eric.
Yeah.
Anthony Tolliver exists. Yeah, he'll light a fire, man. Like, Bradley Beal, what does Bradley Beal... Okay, hold on. People are talking Bradley Beal. What does Bradley Beal fix? He's pretty much just as undersized as CJ. He plays the same way as CJ. He's just as bad of a defender as CJ. Like, he's better than CJ, but, like, all the problems that we have because we have CJ. I don't understand people that are like, yeah, we gotta trade CJ because he doesn't fit well, and there's all these problems because of him. Let's go out and get Bradley Beal. Because Bradley Beal doesn't fix any of those. It doesn't make sense to me.
Michael Keefe, a.k.a. Portlandia, says dudes who get traded aren't leaders on their team. Yeah, well, there's plenty of teams that have guys like that are like Houston last year after they traded Harden. So that's when you go get a PJ Tucker type because they're rebuilding and unloading those guys. So yeah, I can't think of many examples of that, but because I mean, even if let's say I know the Sixers are frustrated with Thibault offensively. Let's say we were able to get him somehow. Like, I still don't think, like I mentioned earlier, that necessarily solves everything because he could do all he does, and I don't know if he's the type of guy who's going to demand teammates step up and help him too, you know?
Yeah, and he probably doesn't have enough respect around the league. Like, young guys is harder. Looking more for, like, more of a vet. What was I gonna... Shout out to Clearly a Bot for a $5 dono. He says, could the Neil Olshey thing be partly why the players seem like they don't care? Maybe no one wants to be vocal when there's a GM like that. If that's the case, then this team is too soft mentally. In my opinion. If it's the GM thing, which doesn't affect them on the court, might be a little bit of a stretch, but like, if you can't go out there and give effort on basketball because of this thing with the GM that's been dragging on for a month, that just proves the point that you don't have it mentally. You don't have what it takes mentally.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Clearly about $5 dono. Appreciate it.
Lou Dort is a good example of that. Someone that we could have probably had.
Bro, after the draft,
yeah.
he was undrafted, and I was begging for him. That was our first stream me and Eric ever did. I was begging for Lou Dort after he went undrafted.
Yeah, I mean, we thought he would sign an actual contract, not a two-way, but yeah.
Well, now he's on an actual contract. I mean, is he gettable at all?
I don't know. I mean, you'd think the way OKC is, they would, if you gave him enough picks, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they want picks number like 37, 38, and 39 or something. But like, I don't know. We this is the problem. If we trade a first, we have to basically call Chicago and make our pick this year unprotected. And with the way this team's playing right now, do you want to do that?
Well, I think it comes down to, would you trade an Anthony Simons for a Lou Dort?
Mm-hmm.
Would you?
No. I mean,
See,
that's
this
tough.
just sucks.
Like, no. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess let me rephrase that. No, unless you were going to do something stupid and like let Anthony walk and you weren't willing to pay him $20 million. But I don't think that's the right decision. But if let's say we offer that trade and then we passed it up and then we were like, oh, never mind, we're not going to re-sign it in the offseason and he goes elsewhere, then I would be freaking pissed.
Yep. You got Kirk Royce acting like we don't pay attention to the rest of the league, Eric. He said Blazers fans don't watch other teams. Beal's a top 20 player in the league. CJ about top 60 to 70 players. Bro, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm just gonna say this right now. You do not know what you're talking about in regards to this.
No, that same guy was saying veterans can't change their way and Beal's a terrible defender, but he's going to come here and be a good defender, even though you said no one on our team can change defensively because they're
funny?
old.
This is just another example of a guy not listening to what the hell I say, Eric. Mm-hmm. Because I said Beal's better than CJ. I'm not arguing that. He doesn't fix any of the problems. He's a bad defender. Ball dominant. Undersized too. All the same complaints about CJ. He's better, but like he doesn't fix any of the problems. We gotta fix problems. We're not like borderline contender where, oh, if we just upgrade talent, we're there. Right? If that's the case, then sure. Go get Beal for CJ. But no, we have serious problems that we need to fix. And Beal is not gonna fix them. So it's not a good idea. And it'd take like 4 firsts, and he's not even gettable. And then I have people like Michael Keefe saying, like, you don't have to be a D about it. I mean, people don't listen to what I say and basically just insinuated that me and Eric don't pay attention to the league at all. So if you're going to attack our knowledge, yeah, I'll be an asshole about it. I don't care.
And it's funny because you're a D in chat the whole show, and then
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to, like, if people keep being ridiculous like that, we're going to start handing out, like 5-minute bans, permanent bans. I don't know, man. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Bro, he brought up, he said, Beal is rated with Jason Tatum in fantasy basketball drafts. First round CJ, 5-round pick. If you're going to come to me and argue basketball based on fantasy.
But you don't watch games.
Basketball and then say Blazer fans don't watch the rest of the league, then I don't even need to say anything because you're just essentially at that point making fun of yourself. Yikes. He said fantasy basketball. Oh my god. All right.
We could not have had Bobby Portis, Kyle Neely. Drummond, I guess we might have been able to have, but
I mean, what does Drummond fix?
I
mean, Bobby Portis, like, I like Bobby Portis' attitude. He's not the best defender, though. DeLon Wright isn't vocal.
So, yeah, and someone said, or Aaron Mansour said, trade Finney Smith for Rocco. He's saying salaries match? Doesn't Finney Smith only make like
Smith's
$4
making
million?
like $4 million. Yeah,
And
but we don't
Rocco
pay
makes,
attention to the
like,
league, but we know his salary,
12.
Eric.
Yeah, 12 million or so. Yeah,
Did he get
that's the
re-signed?
problem.
He was making $4 million last year. Maybe we don't pay attention to the league because we don't know his salary off the top of our heads. But he was making $4 million on like a 3-year deal, I think.
Oh, he said he corrected himself. We were right.
We were right, yeah. $4 million. He made $4 million. Yeah, 3-year, $12 million contract. This is the 3rd year of it. I just said 3-year. Yeah, we don't pay attention. Oh man. I mean, Lou Dort is intriguing, but like I don't think he's easily gettable. Dorian Finney-Smith is. I mean, like, I would probably trade Rocco for Finney-Smith straight up. Although Finney-Smith hasn't been as good of a shooter this year as he was the last couple years, but he's a good defensive player. But like, he's a role player. Like, why is Dallas going to trade him for Rocco anyway? Like. I'm reading these names, Eric, and none of them are even close to doing it for me. Like, I like Kleber as a player, but like he's not the attitude we need. Tobias is Tobias and no to Tobias.
What? Oh, Vera, why would Washington trade Harrell? He's been like their best player.
If they're rebuilding, that might be a guy. And honestly, I, as a backup center, I wouldn't mind Harrell. Like,
why would they be rebuilding? They're one of the top teams in the East right now.
Yeah, but they're a fluke, Eric. We talk about they're a fluke. Like, if
no,
they
I know, but that's not their mindset right now. They're not thinking they're a fluke. They think they made their GM probably thinks they made awesome moves in the summer and they're going to be up there the whole season, right? So they're not looking to sell. They're looking to buy at this point.
But they do have a lot of centers. They got, maybe not a lot anymore, but they got Gafford and they got Thomas Bryant, I guess, but he's injury prone, so he probably doesn't factor in there. I thought they had somebody else at center that was like solid, but I feel like I'm misremembering. I feel like I'm thinking of like Robin Lopez or something.
They had him last year, but Thomas Bryant is hurt right now. But solid. Yeah.
He doesn't even have a number on their roster on the Sports Reference. I mean, yeah, like he'd be hard to get, but like that's a target I would consider. He's not a good defensive player though, so it's like.
What does Berton solve?
Yeah, well, it's not a good defender. Is he still shooting like crap this year? Let me find his stats here. Still, I do not know. No, oh my goodness. He's making like $60 million a year for the next 4 years, right? This year, Eric, he's averaging 5 points per game, shooting 29% from the field and 26% from three. And isn't a good defender. So, no. No. Hell no. I wouldn't want him for free. I wouldn't want that contract. He got that. Yeah, Aeromancer said Berton's got that bag and dipped. I would love to have Herb Jones. I wish we found a way to get Herb Jones.
Well, we could have Sadiq Bey and Herb Jones right now.
I mean, well, at this point, given how Rocco's playing, I'd rather have that. But here's the thing: that's just hindsight bias. At the time, it was a solid trade, and that's what Rocco's value was. And everybody talked about Rocco's a guy that the Blazers need to go out and get. Like he's the perfect guy for the Blazers. Can knock down three on a high volume and plays great defense. And then those same people, now Rocco starts doing this crap, are like, O'Shea's an idiot for making that trade. Like, what? I don't understand it, man.
Kirk says, I could tell you Alec Burke's stats today. Can you? Who will Miami's starting center be tomorrow, Tori? Do you know who their starting center is? I can let you know real quick.
Oh, yeah, let me know then.
Well, They could go small and start PJ Tucker at the center, but Dwayne Dedman is probably going to be their starting center. So
Yeah, former Atlanta Hawks, Sacramento King. Almost fell out of the league, but make a little bit of a comeback. He went 3-point happy for a minute. Yeah, Kirk, if you think we don't pay attention to the NBA, tune in for a trade deadline stream or a free agency stream.
Or go back and watch ones from previous.
Yeah. But, you read a box score off ESPN.com today.
You know
Rats.
Albert stats off Basketball Reference. Nice.
Or yeah, come on, man. The trolls are out in full force. Yeah, I mean, you have to almost look at teams that aren't winning, right? So that's how you start. You go to the standings, and you look at teams that aren't winning, rebuilding teams that might have a vet they might want to trade. The problem is, Eric, at this point, this year, I feel like more than any other year I've seen, the rebuilding teams just have like all youth for the most part. Like other years,
there's not many teams that have bad contracts either.
Yeah, and there's nowhere near as many bad contracts, and it's a lot harder to like make a splash because of that. Because the teams that have those vets that we would want are teams that are winning and wouldn't want to trade them. Like, I don't know. There's nobody on San Antonio that really does it for me. Like Keldon Johnson would do it, but they ain't trading Keldon Johnson. He's young.
Right. Yeah.
OKC, Lou Dort. But Lou Dort is 22 years old. They don't have to trade him. He's 22. He fits their timeline. The Pelicans, I mean, maybe they try and trade Brandon Ingram, but they ain't trading him for CJ. And Brandon Ingram is questionable effort-wise too.
Yep.
I mean, they got Josh Hart.
So someone, EG brings this up in chat, but someone that's rumored to be available is Christian Wood. Would you consider him?
I mean, if we can get good value, sure. I would almost rather be a 3-team trade where he gets traded and we get like a role player veteran in the mold that we're looking for. You know what I mean? Because like Christian Wood is not a particularly good defender. He, I don't know, like has had some character questions before. Offensively this year, he's shooting 34% from 3, averaging 16 points per game and 11 rebounds. I'm not sure his game really translates to winning basketball games. He's never been a big part of a winning team. Detroit.
And this is someone talking that loves Christian Wood.
And I like Christian Wood, but if we're talking about him coming in and fixing some of our issues, I don't think he really does that. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't really fix anything. And what, you're going to play him next to Nurkic at the 4? I think he's a little better at the 5. But the problem is he's not good defensively at the 5, so you can't have him and Dame and CJ.
Yeah. I mean, you could play him and Nurk 30 minutes each, and then that's only 6 minutes of overlap time, I guess.
How's that only?
They each played 24. Yeah.
That's 12 minutes of overlap
12.
time. Yeah, because you add their minutes together, then you subtract 48.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
12 minutes.
But like, if you're starting lineup and then finishing,
I mean, Nurk isn't averaging 30 minutes a game this year, so.
Yeah, but he's we got to get better defensively, and we got to get effort guys that play good defense. It's the main thing we need.
Yeah. It would increase our talent level, and it might be. I mean, I don't know what Houston wants, if they want picks. See, I was trying to think of a team that would want Rocco, and I was thinking someone like Chicago he'd be good for.
Chicago and Boston.
Yeah, because Chicago has all those guards, and they basically play like DeRozan at power forward at times or whatever, and with Pat Williams out for the year, Rocco's on an expiring deal. That might be a good trade for them. So I was thinking, Derek Jones Jr. matches salary-wise, but obviously we wouldn't want him back. But this brought up a question I had before. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah.
Do you think we'd be better off right now with Derek Jones than Rocco? It's amazing that I even have to ponder that question.
Did
we trade the wrong person in that trade?
because we probably
We
wouldn't
might not have
to
give up a first,
pick.
yeah. We probably have our first still.
If Rocco keeps playing like this, I'd probably rather have Derrick Jones Jr. in the first. Believe it or not. But yeah, that's a tough question. I thought you were gonna bring up Caruso.
Oh yeah, I mean Caruso. I would if we could trade Rocco for Caruso, I would do that. I don't see Chicago doing that. They love
you
him.
said they have a bunch of guards, so I thought.
Yeah, but they love their guards they have, and they're all
Yeah.
acquisitions from this year, except for Levine. But I could see because DJ's on a expiring contract too, so like he goes to Houston along with our first, and they get Rocco, and then we give up maybe like Greg Brown and another first or something and get Christian Wood. I don't know if that's worth it or not, but I'm just like trying to think hypothetical trades because they wouldn't want Rocco or whatever.
Let's just ship Christian Wood elsewhere and get. Like at that point, Marcus Smart could be traded. I'm like, okay, trade Christian Wood to Boston and get Smart or something. I don't know. Like I don't really want Christian Wood. I would much rather like try and flip him basically into a multi-team deal. But like Boston has a $17 million trade exception, so they can absorb Rocco outright.
Yeah.
And then we could search for salary elsewhere. Maybe salary a team wants to dump. So maybe you start looking at teams around the tax line. Indiana would be interesting if they had a player that fit what I'm looking for, but they don't. They don't have a player that fits what I'm looking for.
Torrey Craig.
Doesn't fit what
I mean, whoever brought that up in chat had a good point.
That's a solid name to bring up,
but it's not that it's like our best option, but it's probably the most attainable out of all the options.
Like I'd rather play Nas than him.
Well, I mean, you could play them together. Torrey Craig played really big, like he was he was really good on the rebounds for the Suns last year, and he provided some toughness that team needed.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we got a couple guys that like bring energy, but it doesn't translate to the rest of the team. Like we need a more of a locker room leader, which is just really hard to get. Like I don't think there's really anybody that's easily attainable at all that fits what I'm going for. You know what I mean? Like that's the tough part, man. When you need a certain type of personality and you're missing that, that's tough. I don't know. Like this. Like Dame needs to step up and play the hardest defense of his life when he comes back, and then demand that of his teammates. That's essentially where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. I'm not super confident in that happening. Orlando has a couple vets, but they're not. Like Gary Harris is very He can defend, but offensively he's horrible now.
Well, Rocco's contract doesn't match either, so...
Yeah, so you'd have to throw something in.
And he's probably like a buyout guy at the end of the year. You might be able to get him.
Yeah, but like he's just not a guy that's going to hold teammates accountable. Terrence Ross is like the worst idea for our team.
Mm-hmm.
That's just horrible.
Get him and Clarkson for CJ.
We could age Jalen Suggs' game like 5 years. Because, he's going to be a legend.
They're not trading Suggs.
I know. I wish. Because that's the guy who brings it. I mean, Detroit just disgusts me. I mean, I don't know, man. Is Siakam enough of that guy? Is he like one of those guys? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know if he's maybe not like a vocal guy, but I think he's so good it would transform it. And he's struggled a little bit on defense the last couple of years, but I still think he's someone that would completely transform our defense.
Yeah, I mean, I would try and do that, and then like CJ for Siakam, and then I'd try and do Rocco for like a 3 that's a better on-ball defender. But that's hard to find, because I've actually thought up these trades. Remember, we discussed these trades before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, chat. I discussed trades before we were 20 games in behind your back. I don't know. Jason Tate, is he a good defender?
I
It's
don't
hard to
know.
tell. He plays on
Well,
that busted Houston
And
team.
he plays kind of out of position too. They play him more as a big, and he's more like a
3.
wing. Yeah,
I mean,
but he's got like a big game, but he's not that tall, you know.
if he's I don't know how he is as an on-ball defender. The problem is he can't shoot. He's shooting 26% from 3. Last year he shot 31%. And I feel like that'd get frustrating if he can't shoot. And Nurkic isn't really a shooter either. And then you have 2 non-shooters on the floor. And then Siakam, is okay.
So the people just throwing out names like Terrence Mann, like how are we supposed to get Terrence Mann? Like what?
Yeah.
What are we giving up to get him? And OG and a new boy. I would love OG. I don't know why they trade him to us. I mean, if they want to give us like OG and Boucher and whoever makes the salary work for CJ, like I'd take that, I think. But OG would be a guy that would maybe solve some of our problems if he can stay on the freaking court. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's attainable. I doubt they would trade him.
Honestly, you know who like 5 to 10 years from now would be like the perfect personality / player for us off that team? Scotty. Because he has energy and he's like vocal. But like in a way that like players would respect. And I feel like he's going to be that guy that's like is able to just motivate teammates, pick up the energy of the locker room, hold some teammates accountable, and really bring it defensively. He's struggling as a rookie, but that's to be expected. I think he'll be a lockdown guy. Like, Mobley would be great too. Dude, like, I'm kind of just sitting here like, man, maybe we should take Freer.
Well, I mean, if it's true that we were offered the 3rd pick.
Which I don't think it is, but yeah oh, God. Yeah,
I wanted Mobley.
Yeah, and I was high on Barnes for this team, too. Like, I thought Barnes made a lot of sense for Portland. Yeah, do the Pacers have anybody other than Craig? They don't. Dude, there's not enough of those. There's not a lot of those guys. Yeah, I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling to think players that make sense. Jaylen Brown would be a pipe dream, but that ain't happening. Yeah, I can't come up with anything else, dude. I'm just. We don't want the criminal Tony Allen. He got in trouble again.
Do you think the Pacers would consider? Well, it's always tough because of Pritchard still being their GM. Like Brogdon and Justin Holiday for CJ. Would you do that?
No.
Brogdon's a little injury prone too, but
falling off defensively.
He's still a way better defender than CJ is.
Since he's gotten more offensive responsibility, all I've heard is he is not a good defender. He's better.
Well,
but he's struggling to shoot too.
He wouldn't have the same offensive responsibility though.
Yeah, maybe you get him and hope he takes a jump like that, but it's like you're still you're playing him at the 3.
Yeah. Actually, I think he can't be traded this year because I think he signed an extension.
He can't. He got extended. Yeah. So Brogdon and Smart are guys that can't be traded. I don't want to hear their name again this season, guys. Just kidding. I know I will.
Although, when did he sign?
When did he? I don't know.
Because the reason why Smart can't sign, it's 6 months after you sign the extension, and the reason Smart can't is because it was so late in the season. The 6 months goes after the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So we would have had to sign it like it was October 18th. Never mind. Yeah, it was right before the season, so or right after the first game.
Yeah. I look at Chicago. Why is Chicago a good defense? Because they got Lonzo and Caruso. I'm sitting here thinking of like DeRozan and Levine and
Vucevic.
Yeah.
That Aromancer, that's actually one of my favorite trade ideas. If Boston would do it, I don't even know if I would need filler in that situation.
Neesmith, you love Neesmith so much.
Well,
is your guy.
It gives us a trade exception. It gives us, it puts us under the tax, so Jody would like it.
Oh, screw Jody.
I know, but it does help us in that regard.
But he ain't like shooting 21% from three, 31% from the field.
I know he struggled, but he's actually pretty good defensively, I think. But
I mean, he's young. He ain't gonna be vocal. Like, we'd have to use that trade exception for something good. Like, is Jody even alive? Kyle Anderson is. I mean,
he's kind of fallen off this year too.
Yeah.
He got off to a hot shooting start last year, and everyone thought he was great because he's shooting threes now, and then it dipped down into the lower 30s by the end of the season, and then
I mean, this year he's shooting 36% from three.
On how many attempts?
On 2.5 attempts a game, playing 21 minutes a game. Per 36, he's shooting 4 threes a game, which isn't terrible volume.
For those that are saying she's satisfied with mediocrity, if you owned a team and they, for 3 straight seasons, were struggling to be above 500, like, it's tough to warrant paying a tax for that, especially this year when there's going to be a ginormous payout to all the teams that aren't in the tax.
Yeah.
So I can't really blame her there, but she is at home games and she does cheer and do all those things, so she does care at least a little bit.
I don't think there's one, like, realistically attainable target that fits what I want. Unfortunately.
Jonathan Isaac is interesting. Because he
will not be respected by anybody.
He could be that guy, but his views and injury proneness is going to make it tough for him to be that kind of leader.
And I don't think the Magic trade him.
Yeah.
I don't think the Magic trade him.
I mean, it could be a case where they're just sick of him.
Maybe we put a different brain in Ben Simmons and then trade for him. I don't know.
But yeah, like, we can say that, but what if Morey never comes down on his asking price for him? Yeah. What if he seriously calls everyone's bluff and doesn't trade him this year?
Yeah. I'm not doing CJ Miracle for Ben straight up, and I don't like in this situation. I don't like him on a team that has energy questions, and he also has all of his offensive questions, and like I think there's a chance that he's not even fully committed on becoming the best player he can be, and we've been talking about how this team lacks commitment to doing the things they need to do. So I don't like Ben Simmons in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get Ben Simmons for just DJ and Rocco without giving up any other assets, I'd probably do it. But I'd also say, hey, what about all these other teams that were offering you packages? Are any of those true? And see if any of those are teams that would give up potentially better fits. Like if Toronto was still interested in him, and you could get him for that. I don't know. But at this point, I probably would do Ben for as long as we didn't have to give up picks or change the protection of that Chicago pick just to make that trade. I would probably do it at this point because I think this team just needs to try. Once again, I'm not saying that I've given up on this roster. I just think it'd be fine to make a move like that, and if it doesn't work out, at least you try it. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, you had a good reason to ban. Yeah, I mean Simmons would. Randy Munahoa, I probably butchered that, but Randy brings up a good point. He says, I think Simmons would be looking to prove that the problem was Philly, not him. He'd probably be motivated, man.
But at the same time, we're talking about effort, and that guy gave up on his team in the playoffs and doesn't want to play for him. No, I don't know.
Like,
so I could see it either way. Yeah.
Other than the big market, yeah.
That's the problem, though. I mean, I would take that risk, I guess, if it was just CJ and Rocco. I guess I've kind of come around to that. Yeah, but I'm not giving up Ant in that trade. I'm not giving up Niles in that trade, and I'm not giving up any picks in that trade. I'm definitely not gonna budge on that. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it comes back to Siakam. But, I think we need more of a personality than Siakam. And I just don't think one is easily gettable, so we might just have to settle, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Ugh. Sucks. Sucks. I mean, maybe... I wonder if there's maybe something that opens up with Denver if they continue to fall off given their injuries, and maybe they'd look to move somebody, but nobody on their team.
Who would you want?
Nobody.
I don't see them making moves.
Campazzo. I don't want any of them. As much as I clowned on Aaron Gordon, Rocco for Aaron Gordon at this point, I would take. It was all the people that wanted to trade CJ and even a first for Aaron Gordon that I laugh at.
Gordon signed an extension too.
And he signed an extension too. Yeah. Aaron Gordon's also trash, so. Thought you guys had that one. Nope. Aaron Gordon ain't trash, but the people that want to trade CJ for him boggled me. Because here's the thing, I don't want to trade CJ for a downgrade in talent. We're not talented enough to trade CJ for a downgraded in talent and then just expect, it's a better fit, we're going to be good enough.
This roster has no top-end talent or all-stars, but all those same people are just get a better fit than CJ.
Yeah. Trade him for anything. Jeff Green doesn't do it for me. He's not a particularly good defender.
Eric B., I made that point at the beginning of the show. Who knows if it's even possible to make a trade right now, or if it's business as usual, or what? Who knows? But part of the fun of a team or being a fan is talking trades and stuff. So I don't know. That's not going to stop us from talking trades.
You know the guy that just got brought up that I kind of like, and you haven't liked this guy? Will Barton.
Yeah.
He's been a good defender the past couple of seasons. He's averaging 16 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
But why? Denver just signed him. Why would they trade him?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just bringing up potential targets. If they're looking at... Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, no to Terrence Davis.
Yeah, no. No. That dude has done some things that I don't want on the team, and he's not good enough to justify it. I mean, I don't think Will Barton would be easily gettable, but that would be the type of guy, like, if you traded a CJ for Siakam, that's the type of guy I would try and flip Rocco for. To be our small
interesting.
forward.
Yeah.
And he brings energy, like, we know that. And he's a better on-ball defender than Rocco is. And can shoot well enough. And can play make at the 3 spot. And then you have Dame, Norm, Barton, Siakam, Nurkic. Like, you just have playmakers. Norm would probably be the worst passer in that lineup at the 2 guard. But, yeah, Barton's hard to get.
DJ Vegas says that Isaac is a player that's gettable if things go south with his relationship with the organization, but he's also been... I mean, he's missed 2.5 out of the last 3 years because of injury.
Yeah.
And it still isn't back a year and a half later from an ACL injury. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary, man. Yeah.
I mean, that may make him more gettable, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's very iffy.
Send Rocco home.
To Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if we did that Siakam trade, I would be willing to do Rocco into first for Barton and maybe Denver. You know, maybe you could get a first out of Boston or somebody. I don't know. A first for Rocco, the Boston, and then you could package that with maybe one of our future firsts for Barton. Maybe Denver would just take his salary.
Well, we're giving
off
up
the
a
books.
first? Yikes.
2 firsts and one first and Rocco for Barton if we traded for Siakam.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what we gave up for Siakam because we might not have.
Yeah, let's say we traded CJ straight up for Siakam. Would you do
That's
Rocco
not
into
happening.
first?
How are we going to?
I'm saying hypothetically. I'm just asking you a question. Would you then do Rocco?
I mean, I guess
first
if the final trade is CJ, Rocco, and a first for Siakam and Barton, I guess that I'm fine with
you'd
that.
take that because Siakam for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't. Is Denver above the tax? Because that's the one thing.
I mean, they kind of need Barton with Michael Porter Jr. out for the year, and
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if they are in position to really do anything, because they've been losing a lot of games, if they're, like, over the tax and could just shed Barton, they're only $2 million over the tax. I was hoping they were, like, 10. Because, like, if they were, like, $10 million over the tax and we're in position to do anything and we're like, shoot, we want a luxury tax payout and we can trade Barton for a first.
it's the next year. I think they'll go way into the tax with Porter Jr. and
Yeah. Well, I'm looking, or maybe they're. Oh no, they're under the tax line. They're like $2 million under. Either way, it doesn't matter.
yeah, because Porter Jr.'s extension doesn't kick until next year, neither does Gordon's.
Yeah, I mean, it would just have to be a situation where they would like trade Barton for a first and the savings from his contract. And like Rocco, I think would make sense in Boston. Maybe Boston would give up a first for him. They have a trade exception to take on Rocco, so Rocco would match Will Barton for us, but Denver wouldn't have to take on Rocco or anybody from Boston because Boston can absorb Rocco with the trade exception. Like, I don't think that's realistic, but like if there was going to be something, that's the only thing I could see. But that would be if they were $10 million over the tax line or something and just wanted to duck it and needed a trade where they were sending out $10 million of salary, not getting anything back, which is hard to do since you have to match salary in trades. Shout out to the people who are new and have never heard us discuss trades, Eric. We know the CBA.
Yeah.
Anyway. I don't know. Are you done discussing trades? I'm kind of done.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Alright, so we'll discuss more trades. I just wanted to, it's more fun than talking about how our energy is absolute dog crap. Quick around the NBA, we only had 5 games, and there's definitely a score here, Eric, that I am going to want to get to. Let me make sure it's set up. Is there anything else you got trade idea-wise, or?
Nope.
Okay. Alright.
Right, Besson.
Nurk from Mobamba. Here's the thing. Rebuilding teams are not going to trade young players or picks for veterans on expiring contracts. That makes so little sense. Like, that's horrible. That's horrible. All right, around the NBA. We got...
Zach, we warned you, man.
Yeah, I shouldn't have bet on the Blazers. I'm an idiot. Dude, today sucked for picks against spread. Raptors beat the Bucks, so a lot of people doubled down on the Bucks. That's unfortunate. The Bucks played without Giannis. Low-scoring game there. The Bulls were a 2-point favorite against New York. I picked New York. The Bulls won by 4, so tough beat. 119-115 final score there. This next score, Eric, what in the world?
Biggest deficit of all time.
Without John Morant. I have to look at this box score for Memphis. How do you score 150 in regulation? Especially this year. Memphis shot 62% from the field, 53% from 3. And, yeah, wow. Jaren Jackson Jr., 27. DeAnthony Melton, 19. John Concar, 17 on 7 for 8 shooting. Santi Aldama, 28 minutes, 18 points on 8 for 16 shooting. This box score is wild. Their bench might have had 100 points.
Yeah. It was almost to 80 at one point. I think it got up to 78.
Their bench had 93 points, Eric.
Holy
93
crap.
points off their bench. That's wow. Lou Dort played today, so maybe I'm not as high on Lou Dort anymore. I don't know. If you're part of this type of blowout, that's rough. I mean,
he had like nobody.
I know they're playing Trey Mann, Ty Jerome, Darius Baisley, Jeremiah Robinson, Earl, Poku off the bench, Roby, Deck, Muscala, Paul Watson. Is that a Paul Watson sign? That is a Paul Watson signing. Sighting. I didn't know he was playing for OKC. Yeah, so that's just phenomenal. That's insane. This next game, Phoenix was favored by 12, Eric. They won by 11, and of course I doubled down on Phoenix. Along with Zach, so tough beat once again. The Suns were playing without Devin Booker. I thought they would be able to slow down Jeremy Grant and Cade Cunningham because they had Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder, and they were not able to. And then that disgusting Portland score, we're just going to quickly move off this game score slide. Here are some notable performances. Krish put Jeremy Grant Blazers at it as Jeremy Grant's picture. He was a lot better tonight than he was against us. He looked horrible against us. DeMar DeRozan, Julius Randle, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach LaVine, some typical names on this sheet. Jeremy Grant obviously is a trade option we've discussed a lot that we haven't talked about. I also went 2-4 in picks against the spread. I wonder if everybody went 2-4.
Our guy Andrew Miller, Scrooge.
That's funny.
Because they were going to do Chicago, right?
Yeah. And he chose who?
He chose Milwaukee, yeah, and then he stayed on Milwaukee.
Oh, that's tough, man. Poor Andrew. Chat was 2. I was 2-4.
I don't know what chat was, but yeah.
What was chat? Reese said he went 3-3. If anybody knows chat, Jackson, I expect you to have these numbers for me, man. What did Krish go? Krish might. Well,
he won his double down.
Yeah, so he was at least 2-4. So good for him. He's been on the bottom.
Zach lost his. Double down.
Yeah.
But he would have lost either way.
Yeah. See Zach, so no big deal. We're talking about picks against the spread, a show that we do on our second channel on Blazers Uprise Live. Mondays, Thursdays, link in description. Go ahead, go subscribe. It's a fun segment. We pick the day's games, got cool graphics. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Krish went, but I think Krish might have done the best. Anyway, let's move on to the Western Conference standings. We're still in play-in territory, and we're still only game and a half out of 4th. We're still only a game out of 6th. That's what's frustrating. Just figure it out, please. I pray. Denver 10-11 in 10th place. They're only a game and a half out of 4th as well. So it's been jam-packed there. Eastern Conference standings, you have Charlotte at 13-11, but they're the 9th seed right now. You have 4 teams tied 6th through 9th. Cleveland's been playing better. They got some guys back, still without Colin Sexton for the year, but they've been impressive lately. Miami, Eric, I think Miami is kind of overrated.
Well, now Bam's out for several weeks, so
But even when they've
it's
had
going to
their
be tough.
guys,
Yeah. Well, they've been sitting guys. Like Lowry's been playing spot games, and Butler missed a game or two or three. Yes. That last game, Butler didn't play, so.
I don't trust their role guys, believe it or not. Like, I mean, Tucker's fine, but outside of Lowry, Butler,
They'll be fine by the end of the season, though.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson's been horrible though. He's been horrible. They need him to step up. And then who they got off the bench? I can't even think of who they have off the bench. They have Tyler Hero. I'm dumb. I'm dumb. Never mind.
He's been hurt too.
Yeah, he's been hurt. Why did I blank on Tyler Hero, man? What's wrong with me? I don't know. Everybody like picking them to come out of the East. Not everybody, but a lot of people are picking them to come out of the East this year. Be like their sleeper team. I don't think they're a contender. I would take Chicago over them at this point.
I saw this hilarious thing. Max Strus was having whatever college or I think it was college that he went to.
Yeah.
They were having a Max Strus night. And he posted some like picture of it, and Jimmy Butler responded, "It's like, man, ain't no one care about no Max Strus night."
We need Jimmy Butler, man.
And
piss off your teammates so they play hard. I love that strategy. That's funny though. Max Strus. I'm trying to remember where he went to college, but I'm blanking on it. I don't watch the NBA, Eric. Dang. Anyway, next 5 games. next 5 games. I mean, we just lost to San Antonio without Dame, and
I want to say it was a small school. It was DePaul. Yeah.
DePaul, yeah, sounds about right. I remember blue. I mean, honestly, this Blazer team, if they come out and like play hard against Boston, I think they can win that game. And I feel like after getting embarrassed against San Antonio, they'll actually come out and play hard at home against Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say we win the next game. We beat Boston.
All right.
This is just gut feeling. We beat Boston. We come out, we play hard. And then we're like, why can't we just play hard consistently? And that's what we're saying next post-game show. All right, that's my prediction. And then like probably let down against the Clippers and lose that game. And then lose against the Warriors, and then Timberwolves at home. When's the earliest they might come back?
It's the Timberwolves game. The 10 days is the day before that.
It's sad because there's 4 home games here, and I'm hoping we just go 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, this is kind of scary actually, with Dame out and with how we look tonight, because this was the most winnable game during the stretch. It was easier because we got a bunch of home games and we've been phenomenal at home, but without Dame, without guys, we can't afford to have lackadaisical efforts.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. What do you think about this stretch? Do you have any thoughts?
I agree with you. Especially if Dame doesn't play any of these 5 games, 2 and 3 is going to be tough. But just gotta find a way to stay the course.
Yep, I agree with that. Anyway, that's around the NBA. The stream went long. I didn't realize how long the stream's been, man. A good old trade talk,
man.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap things up. We'll be live again after the Boston Celtics game on Saturday night. So we'll catch you guys then. Typical stream time. Hopefully that game goes a lot better than this travesty. The Blazers get blown out 114-83. That's bad. That's very bad. It was great analysis, huh? That's bad. I'm about to fall asleep like you are. I see you yawning there. So we're going to wrap things up. Thank you to any of you who watched the whole stream. You're an absolute legend. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you for participating in chat. We have some interesting conversations tonight. We'll be back again on Saturday. I mean, hopefully we're not raging again. And we can talk more trades too, but it's going to be tough. Bring your good trade ideas. If we're going to talk trades, bring good trade ideas, all right? I'm challenging you, chat. Best trade idea gets an award. Anyway, that's going to wrap. Terrible. That wraps things up for this one. We will catch you on Saturday. Until then, have a good rest of your night and a good Friday. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.